My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Save big on your Labor Day barbecue, all in the Baker's app.
Get tender USDA Choice bone-in Kansas City strip steaks for $7.99 a pound with your card and a digital coupon. Then buy 2, get 3 free on 12 packs of delicious Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up with your card.
Shop these deals at your local Baker's, less than 10 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
TNA is the best wrestling in the whole world.
Think this is funny? No. Why would you do this? Told to. Get a life! Get a life!
Actually, a couple weeks ago, I lost my tripod.
Oh, don't worry, I got your tripod. Right here.
Death to ECW. Long live TNA.
Oh, what do you want, you stupid stooge?
See that, Joe? That's a vein. Something you don't have, you little fat bastard.
That's Osama bin Laden. I didn't even know he's Al Qaeda.
This is BS! This sucks! I've lost my objectivity, and I don't give a damn!
Welcome, everybody, to You've Got to Be Kidding Me, episode number 50. We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. On this episode, we're talking about the month that is July 2006 up to Victory Road 2006. I'm Garrett Kidney. I'm joined, as always, by Liam Jones.
Hello, welcome to this very special post-Australia episode.
We did, at one point, promise that this episode would be in person.
And then I started to, cough up the swamp thing.
Yeah, Liam got too prolonged proximity to me, and then was like, no, I can't speak.
And my body started rejecting it.
We have done an in-person podcast. You're gonna have to give us $10 for it.
Good.
This is actually a ploy all along. If you'd like to see the photo of me and Liam together, or listen to our watch-along of Victory Road 2006, which we did record in person, you will have to go to patreon.com/kiddingme.
And it's the best content we've ever made.
It actually, flew by more than most watch-alongs do.
Oh, 100 million%.
I realized that as we were getting toward the main event. It's usually I check the time an hour and a half into those, and I'm going, oh no, we're halfway there. And we got to the main event of that one. I'm like, oh, that actually went by really, really fast.
Yeah, it's way easier.
We should do it in person every time.
Yeah, just move here.
If the time zones weren't monstrous for my job, I might think about it.
Cause you'll get used to it. You stay up all night anyway.
That's true, but it would have to be all night.
Yeah, you're working the night shift.
Just jumping on Zoom calls at fucking 3 a.m.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with it. Garrett, break down your trip day by day. That's what the people here want. They want to know how your trip was.
I flew to Australia.
Boom.
Very long flight, but mostly fine until you hit the one period in the set, because it was a 7.5-hour flight into a 13.5-hour flight with a 2-hour layover. So it was quite a long time on a plane. And first flight went by fine, second flight, half of which went by fine, and then you hit the stir crazy mode where it's oh my god, I've been on a plane so long, I want to die. And then it's how have I been on this plane for 6 hours and there's still 7.5 hours left? And you get to the other side of Australia and you're I can see Australia. It must be... No! It's really, really big! No. So it takes so long to fly over even just Australia. So there's not even comfort being I'm over Australia. I will be there soon. You won't. Then you land and it's fine. Except they fucking border patrolled me.
Yeah, you deserved it, to be fair.
I've watched a lot of Border Patrol as well, and what is it? Nothing to Declare is the other one. Is both of them I think are based in Australia. And I was like, one of them might be English, but either way, I joked with Ken, brother Ken, that I was gonna get Border Patrolled, and then I got Border Patrolled. I was like, fuck.
Just like Chris Hero.
Yeah, I saw all the jokes about that from when they announced the show. That's funny.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Chris Hero, Border Patrol. It's like, yeah, but I lived it. And then they called you and you didn't answer, and he was like, that's fine, that's okay. It doesn't sound like it's fine. I think you're gonna kick me out.
And I couldn't call back either because they called me from a private number, so I couldn't even be like, sorry, I missed it.
Mm.
I was just standing out there like, ooh, what if they send him back?
You'll just be waiting there for like 7 hours. You'll have huge.
I was like,
parking
I
charges.
assume they'll call more than once.
I think that once they were reassured I was not working. And apparently there's like record emigration from Ireland to Australia, or at least it's the highest it's been in a decade. So they're like, oh, the fucking Irish are trying to sneak in here.
Yeah, like they always do.
Yeah, we are a plague. We are a scourge on society and humanity and everything decent.
Snakes in the fucking grass.
Yes. So yeah, they did let me in, and then there you were in a nice Pokemon jumper. So very nice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I was looking dapper.
You were. We drove a drive that I usually accompany you on audioly, but actually in person for once. It was amazing.
It was like an in-person Skype call, which I guess is what a conversation is.
Yeah, because we did it again last night. Did it feel weird last night or this morning, I guess, for you to be like, oh, he's not next to me anymore. He's back in the box.
No, it felt right.
Oh.
Felt back where it should be, you know?
Yeah, put me in a box. I deserve it. Live in a box. I'm a man in a box. I'm Tommy Dreamer. I have thoughts about Paul Heyman at WrestleMania.
You have plans for what you want to do to Paul Heyman at WrestleMania?
And then we had a weekend, well, not longer than a weekend, like 9 days in Australia. We went to an AFL game, which was absolutely amazing.
My first AFL game too.
It was a good first game to go to.
It was fucking awesome. It was great. I'm never gonna watch it on TV again, but if I get the opportunity to go and see it in person, I will.
Because I was looking at like the score of the Essendon game, which we went to see Essendon against Suncoast. What was the name of that team?
They were the Gold Coast Suns?
That's the one. I knew Sun and Coast were in there, but I didn't remember the rest of the words or the order. But I looked at like the Essendon score for the next game, and they lost by like 40 points. I'm like, that would have been a bummer of a game to go to.
No, we lucked out on that one.
Big back and forth game. Last minute winner disallowed. Last minute winner for the opposing team. So Liam's.
A truly devastating manner too.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker because they should have had many, many more points. But that is the nature of sport.
Essendon did win the next game after that against West Coast. Then they lost to Geelong. And then win, loss, win, loss. Lost to the Gold Coast Suns again, god damn it.
How often do they play?
So that was our loss.
Oh, okay.
No, I take it back. I was going too far back. It's been 2 losses since.
Yeah, because I watched some AFL on TV, and I was always like, yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm not hooked by it. And then that game was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You also took me to a video game museum. Well, more of a multimedia museum that also had video games.
It had a big video game section in the middle of it. You saw the Cuphead thing.
Yeah, which is really fancy.
It's like what would you describe that as?
It's like
a shadow puppet thing.
Yeah, it's like a like shadow puppet carousel where like it turns into 3D motion through movement, even though it is a flat 2D surface.
Yeah.
We also met many animals.
Yes, we went to the sanctuary.
You had a moment with an owl.
Not zoo. Yes. A spiritual connection with an owl.
You had like a full arc because you were initially reluctant to meet the owl. Then you met the owl and had a spiritual connection. You don't.
But then I looked into that owl's eyes, into the sparkling abyss, and it welcomed me. It enveloped me in its wings, and it told me it was going to be okay.
You saw Chris Park in his eyes and found comfort.
Yeah, I did.
You looked in his eyes and
you saw all the animals you wanted to see.
Yeah, saw koalas, saw dingoes, saw kangaroos. Kangaroos are so gentle.
Yeah, the domesticated ones.
Yeah, I assume the ones in the wild are not so gentle, but they're so nice about it.
I imagine I think kangaroos are like if you're fucking with them, they'll fuck with you. If you're not fucking with them, they won't fuck with you kind of animal.
Yeah, but they very politely just walk up to you and like lay their hand on your hand for balance, and then nibble out of your hand to eat the food you're giving them. It's like,
yeah, so you did get to feed the kangaroos.
Then the ducks ran over and like, nah.
Yeah.
We watched some G1.
We watched a lot of G1.
We did.
More G1 than would have been watched otherwise.
Probably. We watched some Naruto.
A lot of Naruto.
You introduced me to the halal snack pack.
Yeah, the HSP, which was enough to like make you not need to eat until the next day.
Yeah, like a full day without eating, because like it's so much food. And I actually looked to see, can you get one here, and you can't. It really hasn't like translated across continents. It is truly Australian culture.
Talk about the food. How did we feel all in all?
You are right. You have no culinary things. It's
true.
You just have other people's food.
We are a very new nation.
You haven't like invented dishes. I'm sure you have. You did give me Vegemite.
Yeah.
And I am the Vegemite centrist.
Like, we have like things that we've turned into our own. But it's like, and I'm sure we like have our own, but like mostly like I think like our food that we're known for is like seafood and steak that like exists elsewhere, but it's just different because it's here.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like it's hard to like make new things out of nothing.
Because like you have like an Irish stew. That's an Irish dish. But like other countries also have.
But like stew is fucking everywhere. You know, it's like you know, I could have made a fucking stew and be like, oh, it's an Australian stew. Like, fucking
use Vegemite as the sauce for the stew. It's an Australian stew.
People do that.
That sounds disgusting. That would be way too salty.
Well, no, it's because like you use it as a salt substitute. So you put it in like broths and stuff. I would never. My grandparents do though.
You can smell it on that road.
What?
The Vegemite smell on the road.
Oh, yes, because we drove past the Vegemite factory.
In which you can smell it through the car window. There's just a Vegemite smell on the road.
We didn't get the golden Vegemite ticket, unfortunately.
Oh, I would have been shoved in a tube and made to turn into Vegemite.
Yes.
That's how that works in that.
And it would have been the perfect ending.
That's what you wanted all along?
Yeah.
And most importantly, Liam, I got to spend 9 days with my friend.
Yay!
Which I assume you share the
cats.
same sentiment. Yeah, your cats.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I had a wonderful time.
Aww.
I had a wonderful time with my wonderful friend. Got to go do a lot of things. We explored. I did a lot of things that I haven't done because I moved to this area recently, so I haven't had a lot of chance to explore. So it gave me an excuse to explore.
That is the thing. You're never like a tourist in your own city. So you're not like, you don't do the touristy things in your own city. So you're like, what the fuck do tourists do when they come here?
Exactly. So, you know, it was fun. We got a lot of beach time.
Yeah.
A lot of nature.
I have multiple beaches. You have a lot of beaches.
I do live right next to you.
Some might say you're girt by sea.
Motherfuckers do be saying that.
I now know what that means.
My house was broken into the day before you came.
Did they get the car back?
They got the car back.
Do you have it now?
Yeah, in our possession.
Do you want to tell that story?
Someone walked into my house, took the keys, and left for the car.
I think the more interesting part is when they found the car.
Oh, yeah, they found the car. The police called us, said we found the car. And then they went to go get the car, and the car was gone again.
It got restolen.
Because they didn't take the car when they found it. They just said, hey, we found it.
They just left it there.
Yeah, so it's been a process.
But it is now home.
The car is home.
Is it in okay shape?
It's fine. it's just like dirty. There was a full Powerade in the back though. So
did you drink it?
Score? No.
You should.
I should have. It was unopened. I could have.
Just left it there.
Yes.
So that was my little Australian excursion. As I said, patreon.com/kiddingme if you would like to hear the full watch along in person in Liam's home theater. Which was fun to try and set up for a watch along.
It was fun. I think it worked well though.
It did. I think it went well. So you can listen to that, patreon.com/kiddingme, or you can also see us at an AFL game. There's a photo there that you can see our faces together in the same place.
Wow. What a selling point.
Woo! Before we get into the news, anything else you want to talk about?
I watched a movie.
What movie?
I watched 2 movies back to back, and it was the combination of Kiki's Delivery Service into Alien Romulus.
Those go together, I think.
Yes, it was a beautiful one too.
I also saw Alien Romulus, and Alien.
I gave them both 4 stars.
Which is better?
Kiki's Delivery Service. They're both really impressive, and in a way, because they are both like from the ground up, just made with people making things. Like, Alien Romulus is something like 80% practical effects. And obviously Kiki's Delivery Service is hand-drawn. Yeah. So it is cool to just see, the innovation of humanity in making art.
Yeah, because I watched Alien in preparation for Alien Romulus, and I've never seen Alien. I've only ever seen Prometheus from that series of all the movies to have watched. And, watching Alien, you are just like, holy shit, look at all that stuff in this movie. That movie is aged so well because of how, practical it is.
That's the thing I love about watching like Alien or Blade Runner or the first Star Wars, where I'm just like, look at these things that people made.
It's an actual world they had to make, and
in real environments that they had to go out and film, and they had to deal with like sun, and they had to like just fun, like everything's CG, and like I think that's like a perfect hybrid that you can use when making a movie of like CG to make the practical stuff look better, but it's like it ages like fucking fine wine.
Yeah, because like...
and like, you look at it, I was watching Star Wars 1, and it's just like, that's just a bin with wheels on it, but look at it, it's a fucking droid.
Yeah, it's an actual thing. It's a physical, tangible thing. The actors are looking at a thing, they're interacting with a thing, somebody is inside that bin with wheels operating it.
Yeah, it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's something about that stuff is amazing. But yeah, Alien Romulus good.
You watch like Alien or like Jaws is the same thing, where like the monster is not on screen very long.
Yeah.
And you would argue, oh, that's a really good filmmaking choice. And realistically, it was just a technology choice. It's like...
Yeah. Well, there was a lot more of the xenomorph in Alien Romulus, you know?
There sure is, and a lot more xenomorphs in Alien Romulus.
Well, like, part of that is, like, what is it, like, 40 years later? Like, they've done it a lot. There's been a lot of different xenomorphs over the years.
But like it's one of those things where you're like, oh, like constraints make for better art a lot of the time. Where it's like they chose not to show the alien a bunch in Alien because it would look bad, so they had to like work around how that looks, and it looks really good because they work around how that looks. Same thing with Jaws. It's like, oh, they didn't show the shark. It really adds to the suspense. They didn't show the shark because it would have looked really bad. So they work around that and make the film better because of it. And now you can just do whatever the fuck you want with magic computers, and that makes everything bad.
When AEW had a small roster and they had to use everyone to their...
Now that they have everybody,
and then they have this giant roster, and it makes everything bad.
When there was that period of Dynamite where it's just like Cody segment, into Jericho segment, into Mox segment, into the Bucks segment, into Kenny segment. It was like, oh, holy shit, this show is cooking.
Yeah.
Now half those people, if they had segments on the show, one, it would be remarkable because one's WWE champion, but like the Bucks and Jericho are like the most bad vibes wrestlers in the world at the moment.
Both which I think would be solved with like 6 months of not being on TV.
Yeah, boys got to disappear for a while.
And coming back fresh. Just doing like a big 5v5 elite lose they disband thing.
Oh, another Australian thing. Morning Dynamite.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, it's amazing. All wrestling should be ingested in the morning. People don't know like how good they got it.
10 a.m. AEW Dynamite currently airs. It'll move, I think, for daylight savings as we hit toward the winter. But 10 a.m. in the summer for AEW Dynamite.
10 a.m. Dynamite into a 5 p.m. G1.
It's perfect. You have
it don't
times.
Get better. We do. And that's why I was like, the one time I ever get to whine is All In. And I'm like, ugh, it's 2 a.m.
Now you know how we feel all the fucking time.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you were born in the wrong times.
It's really bad because everything airs at night. New Japan's alright. New Japan will be a morning thing, so you can have New Japan for breakfast. But everything else is nighttime, like late night. It's just 1 a.m. Like, my sleeping pattern is fucked. People are always like, why is your sleeping pattern like that? It's like, I'm a wrestling fan in Europe. Like, the average time I've fallen asleep in my life is like 4 a.m., which is kind of crazy. But
yeah. But overall, very fun. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I was a host.
You were a tremendous host. The best host there's ever been. A host so good an alien would sit in your chest and be like, yeah, I'm gonna born myself in this thing.
I'm not even gonna get out of here.
I'm just gonna stay.
That's how much I love being in this host.
This guy's cool. Alright, that brings us to the month that is July 2006. Before we get into it, Patreon. That's how we make money. You can go to patreon.com/.
That's how Garrett can afford these lavish vacations.
We are thinking about Grand Slamming in February, so if you'd like to fund
please,
us going to wrestling in Australia in Liam's hated town of Brisbane.
Fuck Brisbane.
You can give us money. Patreon.com/gettingmetnhad.com, where you can get watch along show notes. You You can get ad-free episodes. So if you don't like these ads, at $1 a month, you can get ad-free episodes, and the episode actually.
Well, this ad will stay in.
This ad for the ad-free episodes is still there. Yes. Also, the episodes go up slightly early on Patreon. You might get them a few hours before you get them in the main feed as well. So
that's worth it. You can have finished the episode by the time people are getting out of the news.
Yeah, other people are like, "What the hell, man?"
And you can spoil them on our great bits.
You can tell them who won the Road to Victory 4-way before anybody else. This is the only way you can find out.
This is live as it's happening.
That's how the watch along works. We actually travel back in time to when the show first aired.
That's how we can change it.
Can we?
We can change the course of everyone's lives.
We can fix TNA?
No one can do that.
But yes, you can also get Raintakers. You can also get our Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show, our PW, that's what I just said, our Lucha Underground show, our Gift of the Pod. Why do I keep going back to the same shows? What else do we do? Monday Night Wars show.
Because they're your favorites.
Global Force Wrestling show, Wrestling Society X show, Ring Ka King show. Like 150 pieces of exclusive audio are sitting there right now on Patreon.
PWG.
Lucha Underground and PWG, did I say those?
Sure.
Yeah, patreon.com/gettingme, tnachat.com. You can get all of that and more. You can get a lot of content into your ears, way more us than you already have for free. Patreon, money.
We will live in you like a xenomorph, preparing to burst from your brain with your takes.
My brain went to the Lion King when you said that. He lives in you. That's us in your head.
Okay.
When they play that song in the Mufasa movie, which they didn't play it in the Lion King movie, they should have moved it into the Lion King movie in the place of the Beyonce song, but fuck them. The remake. But if they don't play it in Mufasa, what a waste of a great song. That's like a top tier song, and it's in fucking Lion King 2.
I didn't remember it.
But yes, Patreon. That brings us to the news, starting with Liam, your favorite thing, ratings talk.
Whoa, I'm gonna go bounce for half an hour.
The June 22nd Impact drew a 1.1 rating. It's the first Thursday without a first-run edition of The Ultimate Fighter as its lead-in. It drew a 1.1. A rerun of the previous episode of Tough aired beforehand, so there was still an Ultimate Fighter episode before, but not a new one. Then June 29th, the first episode with no Ultimate Fighter at all. 1.1 rating, 1.4 million viewers, setting another high watermark for the show. So there was this whole thing, week after week, where they're like, oh, what's it going to do without an Ultimate Fighter lead-in? And even without it, it's
the exact same.
Even better, frankly. Because there was that thing where every week PW Torch would be like, oh, they only held so-and-so % of the Ultimate Fighter lead-in. And you'd be like, different audiences, what the fuck you talking about? And now that it's gone, different audiences, what the fuck you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. It's, I mean, or a lot of the same audiences just staying. It's the ones that they got early on.
It drew a 1.3 rating among men 18 to 49, 1.4 among 18 to 34. The replay on Saturday drew a 0.5 rating, meaning 2 million people watched Impact that week, which is kind of crazy in 2006.
I mean, it's insane, but, a different television environment than now, where people would literally kill someone live on TV for 2 million.
Yeah, even WWE for Raw would kill somebody live on TV for 2 million, never mind AEW. Multi-channel News reported that TNA Impact averaged slightly above a 1.0 rating for its first run on Thursday nights. Dixie quote.
Wrestling has never been... I'm getting extra, inconceivably something. Wrestling has never been on at this time of night.
TNA president Dixie Carter said, which seems untrue.
We're in kind of uncharted territory.
Nathan Drake's here.
But we're having a lot of success. I haven't done it in so long, I don't know how to do the accent anymore.
You've forgotten Dixie?
Yeah.
Damn, you've lost touch with your roots, man.
I know.
The 1.03 average is 222% above Spike's average in that time slot last year. The Ultimate Fighter will return as Impact's lead-in starting on August 17th, but in the meantime, TNA's Thursday night lead-in will be an extreme stunt comedy from Finland called The Dudesons.
I fucking love the Dudesons.
And an unscripted comedy series starting a backwoods family titled Raising the Roof, which we talked about in the last episode. We didn't talk about the Dudesons, though.
Are you familiar with the Dudesons?
No, is that like Finland Jackass?
That is exactly what it is.
Okay. I think I've heard of the Dudesons.
You don't need anything more than that. It is Finland Jackass.
Is it better than Jackass?
They're crazier. They do stupider shit, but obviously not to the success of a Jackass.
Do you think they're still making Dudesons content?
I think they are.
They're still churning it out?
I'm going to their YouTube now, and I'm searching. Their last video was 5 years ago.
Oh, what was it?
Hide in the Frame Challenge Dudesson Xmas Special.
Did the pandemic kill the Dudesons? Not literally, metaphorically. Not actually.
I mean, I could find it. Maybe they probably,
Not did they actually die of COVID? Maybe they did. Oh no.
I'm gonna go to their Twitter. They're on X, the Everything app.
Boo.
I love the Everything app. I go to the Everything app and I ask Gronk what I should eat for breakfast.
What does it tell you?
To be a Nazi?
Oh, well, you have to follow the AI.
Is that what you did? Boom!
What?
Classic old bit. Bringing it back. I'm calling you a Nazi again, because that was an old bit that we used to do.
Yeah. Harris Brothers are long gone.
Their last tweet was in 2019.
What happened to the Dudesons in 2019?
Their last vlog was 5 years ago.
Yeah, they just stopped in 2019.
What? Did they get cancelled? I'm gonna go to the Dudesons Wikipedia page.
Oh no. I'm worried what happened to the Dudesons in 2019.
International career. I don't know, it kind of just seems like they fucked off.
Alright, if you are the Dudesons, or you know the Dudesons, or you know what the fuck happened to the Dudesons, please inform us, because it appears like they just dropped off of the face of the earth in 2019.
I'm gonna go to their individual Wikipedia pages.
Try and find what the hell any of these individuals are doing. Please name the Dudesons for me.
I cannot do it in their language.
You can't speak Finnish?
No.
Damn.
And I wouldn't even pretend to do it. Well, one of them is doing another show where he does like a Bear Grylls gimmick.
Yeah.
The other one just had a kid.
Good for them.
Another kid has 5 children.
Churning them out.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like they do just a bit of. It seems like they still are involved in TV, just not the Dudesons TV. They just pop up doing other things.
Did they break up though? Was it acrimonious? Did they just go their separate ways?
It doesn't say anything about them ending.
They just took a break? They're like, I'm sick of doing shit?
Like, it doesn't say anything about them stopping.
Yeah, it's really weird that, like, there should be, like, there's usually a note, like, the Dudesons decided to go on a hiatus, or the Dudesons, blah, 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 blah. It's just, like, nothing. They just stopped in 2019.
Oh, okay, I finally found it. I found something, I guess. Filming the show The Dudesons in America was an exhausting experience for the Dudesons, and they wanted to take the group in a new direction after it. They created the show Some Fucking Finnish Words, in which they helped families with their problem.
Aw, they became wholesome.
Yeah, seems like that. It does seem like that. That is listed as 2023.
Okay.
So, but like the TV show, I think was 2018. So I think again they're just involved in TV, if not doing stuff as a group.
Okay. I hope the Dudesons are doing well.
The Dudesons retrospective.
Because, like, we found out that dude from Raising the Roof was dead, so I hope the Dudesons aren't dead. TNA Impact held strong the first week without Ultimate Fighter as its lead-in on Thursday night, drawing a 1.0 rating, the same fucking rating it does every week. It shows TNA has a loyal audience that isn't reliant on the carryover from UFC. So, there you go. After all, again, the hand-wringing, which is how I read all news stories, it's the same. It's the classic fucking gif of TNA always doing a 1.0 to 1.2 no matter fucking what. I guess until they didn't.
Yeah, I love that. Like every time we talk about TV ratings, that's just what that image just plays in my head the entire time.
Just that rolling gif. It's like Shane McMahon buys TNA, Shane McMahon sells TNA, whatever it is.
What is that from?
I think someone just made it, because I think the joke was just TNA always does a 1.0 to 1.2 no matter fucking what. Even on like holidays, they'd still do it. You
know the funniest thing about that is?
What?
Soon we can have Shane McMahon debuts in AEW, 600,000 people.
Shane McMahon forms the Entitled Men's Combat Club or whatever. The Mean Street Combat Club. The Mean Street Combat Club was so good.
Oh, God.
Yes, get Joey Abs in there with John Moxley.
By the way, that group is going to be, like, dumb.
Yeah?
Like, if they do get Lashley and MVP involved, kind of dope. I can't. But if it's like Josh Barnett, Shane McMahon,
that's so funny.
What the fuck are we doing?
The idea.
I mean, I'm kind of into the idea that like Shane McMahon is leading an invasion of real fighters. And he's like, these are my real fighters that I'm bringing to AEW Dynamite.
The shoot puncher is taking out AEW.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been like a Shane guy growing up. I'm exceedingly nervous about like his involvement in the McMahon sex trials. So probably not the best time to bring him in.
But it would be funny.
But It will be funny. He is like the black sheep of that family, so I guess it does make sense in that aspect. But it'll be interesting it'll be interesting TV.
Yeah.
I'm more excited about Big Bob, the boss,
The TNA legend.
the Beatdown Clan,
It is basically the BDC. They should get the song.
and Josh Barnett.
And I guess you have to add Joe.
Yeah, get Key back.
I'm still mad AEW has never booked Low-Key. Fucking cowards.
Yeah, but it's gonna be weird, and I'm up for some weirdness. Like, the Mox stuff on Dynamite felt weird, but I'm up for some weirdness, so let's go.
Within TNA, there is the belief that the show will, sooner than you think, be expanded to 2 hours. It still takes over a year from here, but it's clearly on the table.
I mean, that's probably still sooner than a lot of people would have thought. It's pretty early to go, add another hour.
Spike officials, when contacted, denied there was anything in the works aside from a potential 2-hour special. If TNA can maintain its ratings the next few weeks without a UFC lead-in, that would be a major feather in their cap, because it would show it could run on a night without UFC, which it would have to if it goes 2 hours. CSI runs until 9 p.m. on weeknights, and Ultimate Fighter and Unleashed are a synergistic pairing that shouldn't be broken up. If TNA goes 2 hours, it would have to be moved to a new night. At this point, there are no plans in place, but it is something being talked about, although it is probably a few months away at the earliest. Interestingly, it stays on the same night, but does become 2 hours. So I think the UFC move.
I guess we're seeing it now, right? But the doom and gloom surrounding this fucking show, for them to then just do amazing numbers that everyone's really happy with.
Yeah, they're talking about moving the show to 2 hours. They've moved it to Thursdays. They're moving it to prime time. They've had the most success you could possibly have in 6 months on television. Well, longer now, 8 months on television.
It's exactly what we see now. It's like AEW doom and gloom, company's dead, and then in 2 months they'll announce $280 million a year for the next 4 years.
Or they just put over 50,000 people in Wembley Stadium.
They're about to do a show in the Tokyo Dome, 50,000 seat stadium in Australia, 40,000 seats in Texas, right? And the biggest doom and glooming of it all, right before they're about to do what is their most ambitious year ever.
Assuming they get the TV deal, next year will be the most profitable year in AEW history.
It'll be the first profitable year in AEW history, probably.
The least loss-making year in AEW history, but still.
But like we said, money's never been the problem.
It's a mark company. Just accept, there's people. The idea of analyzing AEW as a real business is so funny to me.
The only thing I think you can analyze it about is if is profitability a factor in Tony Khan wanting to keep doing it?
Yeah.
Or is it just love of the game as a sicko?
Is his dad gonna be dude, stop losing my money? Or can he just lose his money and do his sicko shit because he wants to run a wrestling company? And if it's the latter, all power to him.
Yeah, and then God forbid his fucking dad dies at some point, you have no goddamn worries. You buy every company in the world.
The original Spike TV TNA deal was for 1 year, and everyone is happy, and there is no fear at this point of it not being renewed. On Saturdays, TNA was projected to do the 0.48 average that Velocity was doing, and they averaged closer to a 0.8. When it moved to Thursday, Spike's projections were 0.8, and it ended up beating it by 20%. So TNA running away with it, and for some reason, they're going to replace the Booker in 2 months.
That's always been their big thing, is trying to fix the problems that aren't there.
Yeah, they want more, they want bigger, they want endless growth.
But, regardless of all this, the company's in a fine spot for now. It'll be 4 years before shit starts getting really fucked.
Even then, the Hogan Bischoff era is successful. There's no threat of the company being in dire straits until 2014.
2022.
Well, the mood in the locker room is really positive right now, as wrestlers do see a sense of permanence and stability with TNA now that wasn't there a year ago when there was a constant concern about its future. Also, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, as veterans of TNA without WWE experience, are content and pleased with their pushes lately, which rubs off on the lesser experienced X Division guys. The wrestlers with the most tainted locker room reps aren't around anymore.
That's good. Wow. Rotating people out who make the locker room shit?
No, you should keep them around until they ruin everything very publicly.
Okay, I have something to say about that.
Go.
So, the Ricky Starks thing came out, right?
Yeah.
About how, they feel like he doesn't want to be there, so, and he's turning down ideas that have been pitched to him. So it's well, whatever, we're not going to pitch ideas because we don't think he wants to be here. And people are ugh, how ridiculous of a thing to... It's that makes sense. They're still paying the guy. He's still getting a paycheck. all they can do is send him ideas, and if he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it because they're a company that, you know, allows that instead of just telling people what to do.
I don't know. I would be like, fucking come to work. That would be my stance. Honestly.
That would be me too, but it's like, I don't know. I don't see the, like, that's not an AEW, like, negativity from, like, a worker's standpoint, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're pitching ideas, the dude doesn't want to do the ideas.
Very funny if that's how all workplaces worked. It's like, Liam, we want to pitch you on this idea of you doing this during your shift. And it's like, that doesn't work for me, brother.
Doesn't work for me. Actually, I'm going to stay home, but please pay me still.
Nonetheless.
That's just like, good. I'm glad they're still getting paid, but it's like, I don't know, man. It feels like that seems like a perfectly reasonable response to be like, we don't know if you want to be here. We're not going to keep putting you on TV. Especially if, like, you don't want to come to TV and job.
Come to do...
Which I'm not saying is the Ricky scenario, I don't know. But it's like, you know, the Miro thing that came out a few months ago where it was like, hey, we want to give you, like, this month push, and then you put someone over at the end. And it's like, he just says no. That's crazy to me. Then, like, the idea of just, like, stopping pitching things to people who don't want to do things. It's like call a guy up and say, get on the fucking plane.
Yeah.
Get in the ring. Do the story that I want you to do. Why else do I hire people?
So you can ask them, do they want to do the story? And they say no, and you continue to pay them.
Like that would be probably better for the locker room morale if they had, like, a leader who was willing to put his foot down and say, no, do the shit that I'm paying you to do.
We talked about this, I think, on one of our last episodes, but I think wrestlers are willing to fall in line more than you'd expect if you're hard with them.
Yeah, well, I think that's most people.
Yeah. Oh, actually, speaking of, before you get onto that thought, I meant to do this at the start of the show. You made a very full-throated endorsement of Brett Ratner in the last episode. Would you like to retract that?
Did I?
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Because you were doing, like, Bryan Singer is terrible, and you were like, unlike my unproblematic king, Brett Ratner. And then we didn't visit Brett Ratner's Wikipedia page that day, and maybe should have.
What did he do? Numerous women in... Okay, immigrated to Israel in 2020.
Hey, Liam, how do you feel about Brett Ratner?
Brother still makes a hell of an X-Men movie, what can I say?
Sure. Anyway, back to your thought.
No, bury him in the dirt. What do you want from me? I didn't know. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It just gets worse the more you read.
It was one of those where it's like, maybe you want to at least say he sucks publicly. So, like, because I always think about people, because, like, if you go back and listen to War Games, there's a lot of, like, oh, Marty Scurll should show up in AEW. Wouldn't that be great? And, like, people understand that one at least now, whereas this is post Brett Ratner and be like, oh, Brett Ratner's good. A lot of people are listening. It's like, that guy really loves Brett Ratner.
Did I say he was, like, a great guy?
No, but you were expressly being like, Bryan Singer, fuck him. Brett Ratner, though.
Well, I had heard the Bryan Singer stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Fucking kill him. I don't know. What do you want from me? Murder him. I'm calling for his murder. Socially murder him. I don't know. Yeah, bad guy. The guy who made Red Dragon, huh?
I'll give you a reason.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna say Brett Ratner, piece of shit. Not a good guy. I retract all positive statements about Brett Ratner.
Dixie Carter, again, was not at this week's TNA TV tapings as she remains on maternity leave. She is expected back soon. The locker room atmosphere has been just fine without her, which is kind of mean. It's said to be positive as it's been in a while.
But I don't know. Why would everything be not?
But, like, you should feel poor Dixie's absence. Everyone should be like, you know what? Everyone's kind of sad without her.
I don't know.
It says one TNA wrestler, the AJ and Daniels elevation in the tag division really has helped morale. So did Scotty putting over Joe. Everyone is laid back. It's a good place to be. See how long that lasts.
We have a story breaking from Mick Foley.
What's Mick Foley saying?
Mick Foley says that it would have that he met with MJF about being his final opponent and doing 6 great weeks of TV
in AEW.
Yeah,
I see why he would look at Max to do it.
Yeah,
it would be so heartbreaking for me for that to be Mick Foley's like last match. Why not fucking Mox? He's right there.
I don't know. But apparently he had a secret meeting with MJF where before he called off his final match, that it looked like it was going to be MJF.
That's such classic wrestler brain of being like, I can do one more, and then doctors being like, no, you fucking can't.
Yeah. I mean, like, it would have been cool to have a Foley run on AEW.
Yeah.
Just to, like, see him in that, like, because, you know, he did the TNA stuff. They only would have kind of hit all the big four, like a Stinger, you know?
Like a Jeff Jarrett.
Like a Jeff Jarrett, like a Sting, like a Tony Schiavone.
Like a Juventud Guerrera.
Like, who else?
Who else has been in all 4?
Shane Helms?
DDP,
No, he isn't an
DDP
AEW.
has.
Yeah, DDP. But yeah, would have been fun.
During a media conference call on June 22nd, Bill Goldberg has said he has no plans to work for TNA. He said he wants a 1-year, 6-figure deal similar to Sting's 2006 contract, and TNA hasn't been willing to put that on the table. Goldberg said he isn't impressed with TNA because of the low-budget, late-night time slot, lackluster production value, and weak talent roster.
I think he would have been fine with all that stuff if they gave you 6 figures.
Yeah, he would have showed up. He would have...
I probably would have done it.
For 6 figures?
Yeah.
I don't know. Wrestlers get so, up their own arse about this shit. Just go fucking wrestle.
I mean, if
Samoa
I'm
Joe.
TNA, I would have brought Goldberg in for 6 figures for 1 year.
Well, I guess, TNA don't have unlimited budget.
Yeah, but wasn't the idea at the time they're sort of pitching Spike to be a part of that too?
Yeah, I wonder if they didn't sign Sting, would there be part, if you were to put Goldberg or Sting on the table for them, which would you take?
I would take Sting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, they would have... I could have seen the value of hey, Spike, let's split this, and you can use him as for Spike TV stuff too, because I feel like he'd be good in that role as well.
He can host the video game awards.
You could totally see, Goldberg's an MMA dork, isn't he?
You can put him on an episode of The Dudesons.
Yeah, he'd be awesome on The Dudesons.
You would.
But I don't know. I feel like if you could have justified the money, you should have found a way.
But I think the money is an issue. I think they're kind of obviously they're not as flush with cash as AEW are, but they are in the spot right now where they're I guess I'm not sure what Bob Carter's wealth is relative to Shad Khan's. Maybe it's less, but I think the willingness to spend it is quite different.
Well, where was a Bob Carter ranked in the richest men in the world list?
I'm fairly sure he was a billionaire.
Okay, well then yeah. But again, it's not his vanity project.
Yeah, it's not I'm really passionate about this. And fair enough, it is his daughter's vanity project in the same it's Shad's son's, but it's less it's like Tony's childhood dream and Dixie's. I kind of stumbled across this thing I like.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much they could afford to drop another $500,000 or whatever it is on Goldberg, but I probably would have tried to swing it too. I'd imagine they did, and the corporate side just said no. That's probably what happened. Dixie's we have Goldberg. Can we get Goldberg? And they were how much? And it's $500,000. It's aren't we paying that for Sting? And yeah, but we can do it again. And it's no. Roderick Strong is no longer on TNA's roster. He would briefly return to TV 2 months ago after serving a 30-day suspension, but he was not brought back afterwards, which is the last the last we'll ever see of Roddy. Well, actually, he does a dark match, but
he had cool TV matches.
He did have cool TV matches. That first few months of the X Division on Spike was really good because you had Aries and Strong and the TV tags.
Yeah.
Austin Aries is expected to re-sign with TNA after having an on-again, off-again negotiating relationship with TNA following his February suspension. Before traveling to Japan to work a 5-day tour with Dragon Gate, Aries wrote on his website, "I'm happy to report after a couple of months of negotiating, I am set to re-sign and return with TNA. I'm looking forward to coming back and expect to make quite an impact upon my arrival." Aries has been nursing several leg injuries for the last 7 months. He's said to have torn an ACL in his right knee and sprained an ACL in his left knee. Interesting that and the Observer frames it differently. The Observer frames it as Strong deciding not to re-sign as opposed to being let go. So who knows what it actually was. But it's interesting how they seem to see more value in Aries than Strong.
I mean, he's a talker.
That's true. He's a better television performer, at least at this point. It's going to be...
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Aries works out for them, so...
Yeah, he becomes a very strong TNA guy. It's going to be very interesting in the next few months what happens as far as the decision by Sting, TNA, and Spike regarding a second year. He seems happy from all accounts and was trying to recruit Goldberg, not very successfully, but trying to join him. At $500,000 a year, they're not going to make that back in ratings or pay-per-view money due to him, but loss will be a negative perception issue because no matter how much they push Joe, Sting is still, to the average person, a TV viewer, the biggest star in the show. It is interesting to think about from a TNA perspective. You've got Sting, you had your year of Sting. Do you keep Sting?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily been strong enough on the show that you need to justify it. I think you could totally justify not having him on the show anymore. I don't know if he adds much drawing wise necessarily.
There is an interesting historical note that Sting's last episode in 2014, there was never an episode watched by more people again.
There you go. I don't think it would have made as big of a difference here, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say also Sting became one of the TNA guys. The 3 most pushed people in TNA history are Sting, Kurt Angle, and AJ Styles. So, like, and the fact that they lost Sting and AJ within a week of each other. AJ's last show was like the week before. So the idea that two of the three most featured acts in the history of the company left within the same month really kind of like took a blow to what TNA even felt like anymore.
Yeah. Well, like, again, right, that's identity. Similar to like if AEW had lost all of the Elite,
or like even if you know Mox left, like that's it. Sting's not the homegrown TNA guy in the way that AJ is. So even if you take out the homegrown AEW guys, quote unquote, like the Elite, like Mox is like one of the AEW identity guys, and if Mox were to leave, it would sting quite a lot. Pardon the pun.
Haha. Yeah.
Team 3D's contracts are expiring in the next few months in October.
They can go.
It's not 100% how it's going to play out. They do have leverage in that they would be a major acquisition for WWE right now, but they're sure on the surface seems to be bad blood in that direction. So, not a fan of Team 3D so far?
I just don't think they've been good. Like, they're fine. I just don't care one way or the other. I wouldn't feel like I've lost anything from them leaving. Their best thing that they've given to this company was a segment they weren't in.
They were in those caskets.
So, you know.
Yeah, they do much better work later into their TNA run, but I think the first year or two is a bit rough.
I mean, they obviously get there. Bully becomes like a really great main event guy for a while there. So, but I don't care if they go.
And I don't think it helps that like them and AMW, who weren't a particularly good combo.
Yeah.
Like those matches were just kind of nothing. So.
Well, I think it's because, like, they just don't work to the speed of everyone else.
Which is funny, because, like, their best matches in TNA as a team are probably against the Guns.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
I don't know. They're an interesting case. They haven't particularly made it an impact, you know?
Ah. Jim Cornette was the featured guest on TNA's monthly conference call July 11th. When asked about how would he consider being part of the creative process, Jim Cornette said there should be a label attached to his name to read, "Doesn't play well with others." He said he doesn't do committees, and he wasn't brought to TNA to be part of one. Cornette said TNA contacted him to be an on-air authority figure, to be the liaison between the fans and the wrestlers. He said he will consult with management if need be, and identify who he thinks are money and can draw ratings, sell pay-per-views, and have good matches. Cornette said the lack of desire to be on the road on a full-time schedule led him to TNA. He said he was about to leave the wrestling business altogether after his experiences in OVW. God damn it, TNA, you dragged him back in. He was nearly gone. But TNA offered him a chance to be part of the company. He said he likes the talent on the roster and was drawn to TNA because, according to Cornette, they allow wrestlers to be themselves on TV and in the ring.
He doesn't like that when they're not, when they're being themselves and it makes him money.
When he can be mad about the idea of them being themselves instead of being some fancy imaginary version he'd like them to be. He's very good at that, isn't he? Money.
Yeah.
Grift.
Grift.
We don't have any update on pay-per-view numbers other than all indications are that they are remaining at a stable level, but well below the number for Final Resolution for Sting's debut or return. The company got good news that their first pay-per-view back in Australia in years did 5,000 buys, which is a strong number because they don't even have television there right now.
They should run a stadium.
During the weekly pay-per-view era, they would get one show per month in Australia, and the numbers started out well there but didn't hold up. The current product is entirely different from that product. TNA never actually run Australia until, obviously, 2023 in Wagga Wagga. But they did have a tour set in, I think it was 2010, but it was cancelled.
Would I have even known about that? Probably not. No, probably, yeah. I don't think I would have. I probably was paying attention to TNA at that time, but not, like, enough.
Yeah, it was right around the time that you were, like, peak childhood TNA watching.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be around that time that, like, I had my, like, 2 months away from wrestling where it looked like I was going to not watch anymore.
Yeah, we all have it. Mine was the middle of 2005.
And then TNA put the title on Jeff. And I was like, well, I'm back.
Love my Another Me. Conan's hip is shockingly nearly without pain. He was about to get a hip replacement surgery, which would have cost them more than $20,000 after seeing the San Diego Chargers doctor and the doctor in Mexico, who had a new method of trying to regrow tissue that saved the careers of 2 Olympic skiers and getting no... Dave's fucking sentences. He was talking this way last week to Super Astro, who was in tremendous... and he was thinking he had to retire and get a knee replacement when he took his daughter to Mil Mascaris as doctor. That means something in Mexico because, like him or not, and most don't, everyone knows Mil Mascaris has the best of everything. I like the idea that, like, we hate Mil, but fucking he has a lot of money and he gets the best of everything. So his doctor, yeah.
Yeah. It's a good rep to have.
who specializes in biomechanics, and the doctor saw Astro limping. He fixed his knee. He was raving to Conan about it, and Conan went to see him this weekend. He went through all of Conan's ailments, which included the hip being bone on bone, an inflamed sciatic nerve, and knee problems stemming from the residual effect of walking all wrong to compensate from the hip pain. He realigned his hip, and Conan, who has been in terrible pain the past 18 months, people in TNA would tell me it hurt them just to see how much pain he's been in, left the office with almost no pain. The doctor told him he'd have to relearn how to walk properly because his overcompensation walk limp he used has been making things worse, all for a visit that cost $40.
So he went to a chiropractor and they went bang, bang, boom.
Yeah, I think he discovered the art of chiropractic, which is, I think, an art more than a science, but...
Yeah, that shit worked for me too, so I can't knock it.
Yeah, but like all art, it can be effective and it can't, depending who you see.
I think the problem with chiropractic, like for the most part, is just a lot of people who aren't trained in it properly can get degrees in it.
And then you're just like, oh.
It's like if you get someone who's actually trained in it well, they're very good at what they do.
So Conan, the idea that he's still been wrestling through all this is crazy.
I mean, that's wrestlers, man.
I guess he hasn't been wrestling. Like, it's not like he's had matches that are real matches. He's had like tags and six-mans in which he does nothing. But like, just the idea that he's doing like the Rolling Thunder clothesline or anything when he can't really walk. The controversial July 7th TNA Impact Presents Night of Champions show that TNA had disavowed wanting to be involved with, but ended up sending some talent to, drew about 900 fans in Lowell, Massachusetts at the Paul Songas Arena. So this is a fun one, where there is a clause in TNA's NWA contract that says an NWA affiliate can like advertise a TNA event. Basically, you can be like TNA presents because it's in the, but no one ever did that because it seemed like really bad form because it's not a TNA event. And TNA were sending some talent there, and then they were like, "This is a TNA event," and they're like, "No, it's not. Stop saying it's a TNA event." And they're like, "No, we will continue to say it's a TNA event."
That's funny.
So Naturals beat the Heartthrobs. There's a bunch of stuff in this show. Jarrett and Christian was your main event. So yeah, the story was like the advertisers TNA Wrestling, a Night of Champions, and the marquee said TNA Wrestling, a Night of Champions, and it was advertised during WWE programming as a TNA event. And they're like, "No, it's not. Stop saying this."
That's funny though.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
It's a good bit. Well done.
What a weird business.
That people even try this, never mind get away with it.
Yeah.
The first monthly pay-per-view to be held outside Orlando may be the October 22nd Bound for Glory pay-per-view in Detroit, which that does turn out to be the case. And if
good, let's get this shit on the road.
A funny Shelley note is the new Alex Shelley t-shirt that he hates is now one of the company's best-selling pieces of merchandise.
I wonder why he hates the paparazzi reductions.
Maybe he just doesn't like the color orange.
I mean, maybe it is quite garish. But I think it suits it. The idea of like a paparazzi wearing like the most blatantly obvious shirt ever is very funny.
Yeah, and also like I was at All In, and nothing makes you want wrestling shirts that aren't the color black than attending a wrestling stadium show and seeing everybody wearing wrestling shirts that are the color black. So
yeah,
seeing a nice colorful orange shirt is quite nice.
I don't know, it's like I feel like I'm so like black shirt pilled though. I don't like, unless there's like something really cool on white. I don't know if I ever would go with other colors either.
I do believe every shirt you wore while we were in Australia was black.
The Pokemon thing was mint.
That's true. But that was, yeah, okay.
But that wasn't a shirt.
No.
Like, as far as t-shirts, though, they're pretty much all black.
Like the New Zealand rugby team.
Yeah, that's me.
You love New Zealand.
I love them.
All right, that's the news. That brings us to broad topics. We're not going to start with wrestling, Liam. We're going to start with the video that aired on the first Impact of the month, the Knockouts photo shoot.
Of course. I know that you were waiting with bated breath.
I was sitting there. Christy Hemme was like, "You're not going to believe it. We have these amazing photos."
Yeah, my favorite, like, it was the, like, how complex her poses got with each individual, like, coming up soon. And, like, there was one where she was bent in like a question mark.
Yeah.
She was like standing like a question mark with her leg in the, and I was like, I tried to do it. I tried to like reenact it. And I was like, that seems very uncomfortable.
You're not flexible enough to do the Christy Hemme?
Not for the, maybe. I won't write myself off, you know.
I appreciate that commitment from Christy where she's like, we're filming 4 coming up tonight videos and we got to make them interesting.
And it's like, yeah, she really went like above and beyond.
Fair play to her.
She's definitely like, she's what do they call maximizing your minutes.
Yeah, it's like, I've got 45 seconds of total screen time. This is all I'm doing in this company right now.
Let me contort myself in the manner of an equation.
Becoming the precursor to an NWA character.
Becoming a literal mouse cursor. Just a big floating arrow with my body.
She was promoting that photo shoot for the entire show. These amazing knockouts photos that you have to see to believe. Did you love them when you saw them, Liam?
It seemed cool. They seemed to be enjoying themselves, and that's all that I care about.
It was very funny that Jackie was there.
Yeah. I mean, they did them a minute ago, you know?
Yeah, so it was Gail, Tracy, Val, Christy, and Jackie. 2 of whom aren't really on TV, because Tracy's isn't on TV either at the moment, because Matt Bentley seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. And Jackie, who is pregnant and also gone. This is, I think, the last TV appearance of Jackie. I think we already did the Remember When, but there you go.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense still.
So yeah, those are your knockouts photos. That's your women's. Actually, no, there's women on the pay per view. I was going to say that's your women's content for the month, but there are women wrestling on the pay per view.
This is a women respecting promotion now.
Yeah.
How do you think the pay structure of a photo shoot works? Do you think they get paid like the same as like a booking date?
I would imagine because they film them at TV, nearly certainly.
Okay, so they're like, while we're filming TV, go off with the photographer and take your photos for the perverts.
Yeah, I would imagine they're not flying them in just for the photo shoot. I would imagine while they have them in for TV, they are like, all right, you're going to do
well, they
a
might
photo
be
shoot
flying.
today.
Might be flying some of them in just for the photo shoot.
Well, yeah, Tracy's not doing anything else. Tracy is probably being flown in just for the photo shoot.
But yeah, okay. And then like, I think they get a commission or a percentage on each calendar. Was it for a calendar or was it just photos?
I think it was just photos. I'm sure they put a gallery up on the website or something. Or maybe it was just for this video package. Maybe it was actually not technically a photo shoot. It was a video shoot.
Oh my god, it's too confusing. Someone hit the Wayback Machine.
Where's the sexy men photo shoot?
Every other minute of the television show.
Where's Abyss giving me some poses?
When he goes to the ring and he goes, and crosses his arms.
Where's my sultry photos of Monty Brown?
Every time he walks out the goddamn entrance tunnel, what are you thinking?
You're not going to believe these photos of AJ Styles.
And it's just him doing the, like, pose with the arms.
yeah.
It's him doing the shooting star into the pool with Vince Russo in the background.
Yeah, they took some great photos of that. It's a TNA classic photo series. It's that. It's Trio LK sitting in front of a screen. It's all the things you love from TNA history.
Specifically the Asylum era.
It is funny that this is the first month. I think this is the first women's match of the year this month. The first time women wrestle in 2006 is Victory Road.
Hey, you know, it's only like 8 months.
And I don't think women have really wrestled. No, there was the Tracy Trinity mixed tag. So I think it's the first women's match since like May 2005.
Sick.
It's a good company.
I mean, and just because Gail Kim bullied them into doing it.
Yeah, she desperately, violently wants to wrestle. You can tell, like, every time that she has to do anything physical on the show, she's, like, so up for doing it.
Speaking of maximizing your minutes.
Yeah, it's the only time she gets to do anything remotely resembling wrestling. So if she gets to hit, like, a Rana in a match, or if she has to take a bump, she is like, yes, I'm doing it.
And she'll make it look better than, like, 80% of the people on the roster.
So there's your women update. Actually, no, we will actually talk about the match. So I guess we'll have a second women update later on.
My god, we're breaking barriers.
Yeah, never mind Trinity versus Tracy or Alexis Lurie versus Trinity. We have 2 things. Well, actually, yeah, that's 2 things with women to talk about instead of just one usually, or none.
Look at us. Jumping bomb audio coming for you.
Yeah, we're gonna be a women's podcast by the end of this.
Yeah, this is a Joshi podcast now.
We are going to respect women.
I've always done that, but it's a new leaf for you.
Yeah, it's a long-term arc of the podcast where over the course of it took me 50 episodes to finally come to respect women, because like I've been watching TNA obviously, which has no respect for women, and that is where I learned my women respecting or lack thereof. And I'm finally like, wait a minute, women wrestling?
It's true, they do it.
And it just took me seeing Gail Kim, all-time great.
Can you be blamed?
So, if you remember, at the end of Slammiversary, Jeff Jarrett regained the NWA World title in controversial fashion.
Boy, do I remember it.
There was a whole deal where Earl Hebner knocked over a ladder and Larry Zbyszko cost Christian and Sting the match, and then Jarrett won the match. But then Jim Cornette came out and took the belt off Jarrett, and that was your Slammiversary cliffhanger.
And we were left wondering, what the heck's gonna happen next, you know?
So we open the June 22nd Impact with Jim Cornette. He kicks off the show after Slammiversary's ending. He's going to bring order and accountability back to TNA after Larry Z has run amok. Him and TNA management have been hunkered down, and he's sick of Jeremy Borash hovering around outside his office door being like, hey, Jim, give me an idea what's going on.
Gotta give me the scoop. He's a 1920s reporter now.
He does kind of sound like that.
Yeah, it's like if you like injected like a healthy dose of millennial in there.
They should put him in a little hat.
This is the weird combo.
They should give him a hat.
Should be. He's a very 2006 man.
He is. Fair play to him.
Like, on the other side of the spectrum of Alex Shelley being the most 2006 man, like, if there was a tier list of who was the most 2006 on the roster, like, your S tier rankings would be Alex Shelley and Jeremy Borash.
And they're very kind of different kinds of 2006.
Yeah, but still 2006 at its core. That's the important thing.
Yeah, like, Shelley is the kind of 2006 that people now aspire to go back to.
Yeah, like, Shelley is the kind of 2006 that would have been hosting a G4 show. I'm not sure G4 was around in 2006, but, you know, that's my reference.
And JB is the kind of 2006 that would be hosting an MTV show.
Yeah, and he'd be, like, leering at the women.
Yes, he sure would. He'd be on, like, TRL or some shit.
G4 started in 2002.
Was it already gone by 06?
No, it went until 2014.
Did it last that long?
Yeah, 22 years.
Really?
And then the relaunch only lasted 2.
Oh. That was always duped to fail, though.
I was like right on the money with like the era for it, like in my head though. Wait, I got a fun G4 note for you.
Please tell me.
It was reported that the UFC and WWE were in separate talks to buy G4 in 2011. The UFC eventually partnered with Fox, while WWE launched its own network on February 24, 2014.
So G4 being the underpinning to the network was like an idea they had?
Yeah.
I guess like one of the original ideas for the WWE network that they were thinking of before they went with streaming was that it would just be like a linear channel that would be like 24/7.
Yeah, which is what we had in Australia. I don't know if that was other places, I assume it was, but we had like a WWE channel basically.
Yeah, I know they had like WWE Classics on Demand and stuff like that was like a channel on TV at some point.
Yeah, we had that. And now that we have that again, actually.
That's what your WWE network is now, yeah?
No, we have WWE network proper. Like, well, not proper, but you know what I mean? Like, it is
built into another
all
app.
on demand. Yeah, all on demand on the Binge app. But it also has part of that deal, because Binge is like all the sort of Fox channels on paid TV here. Part of that was there is a WWE channel on paid TV now, and a live feed in the app that play the pay-per-views, as well as like, you know, just your weekly TVs and your C shows, and then some classic content.
That's fun.
I never use it. I should just like use it as a thing to put on in the background at times. But I guess I'm not bereft of background content.
Yeah, and the problem is they probably like lean too much heavily on like modern stuff. So
I'm gonna go to what it is right now, and just for like shits and giggles. Might take a while with my amazing internet.
Nah, I'll just cut it out.
Cool. WWE. It is the first channel on the app. Fun fact.
Oh.
Oh, I can't play it on mobile data.
Ah, well.
Considering that is the only data that I have available to me right now.
We will never know.
How much more do I have left? Check it out.
Enough to get through this podcast.
I have 180 gigs a month.
Oh, you're fine.
I did get my 50% warning a while ago.
Okay.
And you may be like, oh, that's because your internet doesn't work and no, that's just how much I used.
Also toward the end of the month, so.
It is. I have used 120.
You use 60, you're fine.
And 11 days to my renewal, but hopefully my internet will be back up.
You can hide from your phone.
That's an update to all the listeners on my current internet situation.
So Jim Cornette addresses LAX, who he was meant to have an appointment with, but they no-showed it. He's going to fire somebody next week, in which a "Fire Jarrett" chant breaks out.
Cornette was like,
It's a good idea. It is actually interesting, like the crowd were kind of booing him here.
I mean, he's a heel. Like, he's not a nice person. Whenever he's in the ring, he's a dick to everybody. Like, in like a way that's like, if I was there, I'd be like, yeah, fuck you too, man.
I think they worked out by like the next week's big promo that he's meant to be a babyface, but they were like, "Are you an asshole? Are we meant to be not liking you?"
I mean, yeah, he's like racist to LAX. That's once again proving LAX's entire gimmick correct. And he did the like Christian thing.
What Christian thing?
Where the patriarchy, where he hit Jarrett with she's already dead, which got boos.
Yeah.
So it's like, you are racist? You're a racist to LAX, and then you told someone that their grandma's dead. Of course you were getting booed.
And she's ashamed of you, yeah. So Corny says he says the things that happen with Jarrett make him embarrassed to be associated with professional wrestling. Next week he'll make an announcement about who the world champion is, as well as what's going to happen at Victory Road. He knew and loved Jeff Jarrett's grandmother, and she'd be as ashamed of Jeff as he is if she wasn't already dead, as he said. He'll see Jarrett next week, and Jarrett appears and shouts at him.
I mean, like, these segments are kind of like boring or whatever, but I think it's a good American TV angle start to the show thing. Like, it's better than just like, all right, I don't want to say Diamonds in the Rough because they're in the next match, but
but we won't be talking about that next match for like 20 minutes, so you're fine.
Yeah, okay, sure. Like, Diamonds in the Rough opened the show in a tag that no one gives a fuck or shit about. Neither a fuck nor a shit. So it's like, you know, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's like an angle. Show it runs through this show as well. We'll talk about that. There's backstage segments. It sets up the main angle for next week. It sets up Jeff Jarrett's favorite story, which is there's a thing he wants to know about, so he can shout at people about whether or not they can tell him about the thing he wants to know about.
And guess what?
What?
He'll find out his answer at the pay-per-view.
It is. You mentioned that in the last episode that like Jeff Jarrett does this story all the goddamn time, that there is just a thing he needs to know, and all he does for the entire month is shout at somebody about that thing, and like they're doing it again. God damn it.
I have a feeling it won't be the last time we get this story.
So a bunch of people are waiting for meetings with Jim Cornette. Eric Young is paranoid that because Jim Cornette says somebody's going to lose his job, it's going to be him.
Thus we get the beginning of Don't Fire Eric.
Jarrett charges in, demands, he's like, Eric, I don't give a shit about what you're talking about, and demands to talk to Jim Cornette.
That's a good sign for Eric, I'd say. Because, like, Jarrett's taking the heat.
Yeah, you want the guy to come in and shout at the dude, so he's like, never mind, I was going to fire Eric, but I'm going to fire you instead, because you're annoying.
Exactly. I like how Paul Eric, very low self-esteem guy, that he's like, I've done nothing wrong, and yet I still think I'm going to be one that goes.
He's paranoid. He's gotten in his head. We are back from break with the same crew outside the door. Lethal and Sabin were there for the last segment as well. Lethal wants to know why EY is so paranoid, and EY is like, do you know what it's like to be me?
God, he's so good. Oh, I didn't realize he would find so much of this already. I thought like this was going to be a thing like we got in 2 years, but like he's already there.
Yeah. Jarrett comes out of the office. Ewan wants to know about if he's being fired. Jarrett's like, shut the hell up. I have to wait 7 days to find out about my title.
I like that Jarrett is very mean to him because he's like, I like tolerated you during Planet Jarrett. And now I don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, it's just like, because like the whole thing with the Sting thing was like that the only person that believed Eric was Jarrett. He couldn't let it go, but now he's like, shut the fuck up.
And like, Eric is kind of taken aback. He's like, we were cool.
We used to be buddies, and now you want to fire me too, Jeff, don't you? You hate me too.
And if it could, he probably would. But like, I wonder if this has to be like a little meta thing, right? With like them like thinking about canning him as many months ago.
Yeah, because that was back at the start of 2005 when Dusty wanted to let him go, and then he had that really good pay-per-view match.
And like all the boys like going around so that Eric doesn't get fired. Like, it seems like it's a thing they turned into a thing.
So like the paranoia backstage might have been like a thing that permeated enough for people to go, that's actually a fun gimmick.
Yeah. Or like even like, you know, something he pitched or like just, you know, something. Like it feels like that came from a real place.
Yeah. So later in the show, JB is still outside Cornette's office. Christian walks up. JB wants to know what Christian wants. Christian says if Cornette is here to do the right thing, he'll give him his title back. Then Christian reemerges later in the show. Christian will also have to wait a week. Sting walks up. Christian doesn't think this Cornette guy is going to work out. He's like, you know, this guy, let's go back to Larry Z.
Everything about it was like, Christian walked in there with such confidence. He's like, I don't have to wait. I don't need a meeting. I'm the guy around here. Walked in, then walked out. I was like, I have to wait till next week like everyone else.
You gotta get that Cornette guy out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I'm a Larry Z defender as well, Christian.
Sting has something to say to Corny. Christian is like, Sting, buddy, we're pals. What are you gonna say to him? What are you gonna say? And Sting says Christian will be the first to find out, but not right now, apparently.
Which is incorrect, because Jim Cornette will be the first to find out.
That's true. And JB will be the second to find out. Christian is like third.
Maybe Christian's right about this Sting guy not being trustworthy.
Main event. X Division titles on the line. Senshi and Sanjay Dutt challenge Samoa Joe.
You ever seen a match more specifically designed to not have someone lose?
Yeah, very much is. Especially because like it does make a degree of sense because Senshi and Dutt were the last two in the X Division rankings match, so they didn't pluck them out of nowhere. But also Senshi won that match. Why is Sanjay getting a shot?
Because Joe's not going to get pinned or submitted.
That's it. So EY is in the crowd with the "Don't Fire Eric" sign, and that is the beginning. The crowd chants along. That's the beginning of "Don't Fire Eric."
It's so good.
Steiner brains Joe at ringside with a chair to take him out. This opens it up for Senshi to hit Dutt with the Warriors Way and win the X Division title, as Maitane very much reinforces Samoa Joe was not pinned.
We did everything here to make sure Joe was protected.
Yeah, nice to see the X Division get a TV main, but also it was fine.
Yeah, Senshi, it's crazy because like Key is as good as these other guys. But it's like, I mean, he's still kind of in that building stage, but like Joe was having killer like build up matches, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like even I feel like Key's first run was even stronger, you know? Yeah,
like he has yet to have like a standout performance here. I think the squash he did last month was fun just because it was like a Warrior's Way and that's a cool move. But like the 6-man at the pay-per-view, the last one wasn't very good. This was fine, and the Frankie match was fine that we're going to talk about in a minute. Spoilers, Frankie's back. But yeah, not a great like first couple of months for Senshi. Not like, oh my god, thank god Loki's here again.
Do you think Key is slightly overrated in ring?
I think he's not a sure thing.
Like a lot of other guys were.
Yeah, like if you put Bryan Danielson in there or Samoa Joe in there, he is a sure thing. And there's oftentimes you get Senshi or Loki, there's oftentimes you get Loki and you don't know what Loki you're going to get. But if you get Loki, it's the fucking best thing in the world.
Also, like maybe sneakily a tag guy.
Might be, because like his thing is like big explosive offense, so that kind of works better in a tag setting where he doesn't have to do like the full psychology of the match. He can work that into like the psychology of tag psychology, which I think works a little better.
But because like even in like the New Japan, in the Raintakers stuff I've been watching, Raintakers go by Patreon, give me money. Even in then, like I feel like he wasn't delivering to the level of a Devitt or an Ibushi. Again, maybe it may be unfair. They are like a decade younger than him or whatever.
Yeah. And he is an aura guy. So if he's not booked in a way that makes them like project that aura, it takes something away from him.
He's an interesting case.
That on so many levels, which is what makes him a great wrestler, I think.
Or at least like an interesting note, like in 20 years when a lot of people have forgotten about him, and it's like, let's reanalyze this Key career, you know?
Because that is the thing. He will be forgotten. And it's kind of sad to say, but like he will be fundamentally forgotten.
I mean, like we've been having this conversation lately about Hansen.
Yeah, like if fucking Stan Hansen isn't remembered by like the average young wrestling fan because there's nowhere that will like evangelize. That's what you need. You need like an institution like WWE or now AEW or even like a New Japan to like evangelize the history of you, and no one's going to do that for Loki.
Yeah. And like I guess your best bet there is like an AEW, which does acknowledge outside promotions and history,
and obviously owns the Ring of Honor library.
Owns the ROH library, but it's like, again, they can't do it for fucking everyone.
And they're going to do it for the people like Samoa Joe or Bryan Danielson that they employ.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like Eddie Guerrero is an all-time great, but the reason like so many people say Eddie Guerrero is their favorite wrestler is because we have now had nearly 20 years since he died of like WWE constantly evangelize Eddie Guerrero. You know, they're constantly talking about how good Eddie was. They show highlights of how like DVDs. It's like everyone talks about Eddie. So that's the reason that like permeates into fan culture. That because Eddie has been, propped up is the wrong word to use, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, he has been he's been used as like a token idea of like an all-time great.
Yeah, and that's been reinforced and pushed over and over again to the extent that every WWE Performance Center wrestler now says their favorite wrestler is Eddie Guerrero, and that's where that comes from.
I wonder if part of that like idea will die with the fact that we don't have DVD releases anymore.
That's because it's really weird to me that like we have more wrestling easily accessible than ever before, and somehow less of it is getting through. You can find like 50 of the best Stan Hansen matches right now on YouTube or Dailymotion for free. You can type Stan Hansen match into YouTube and you will get 10 great Stan Hansen matches, but nobody's doing that.
I have one on my second monitor right now.
It's my big frustration with I think modern wrestling criticism and modern wrestling coverage is we spend so much time I know, but we spend so much time giving out about like whatever the talking point of the week is that we spend far less time than we used to diving into historical stuff and trying to actually dig this stuff up.
People don't analyze anything anymore. people don't care about history, and like people who like have become voices on
of wrestling.
This topic. Yeah, I was trying to avoid it. People who have become voices in wrestling journalism and wrestling historians are like they're not actual like historians. Like they know nothing. Like out of all like the biggest voices in pro wrestling right now, and I don't mean to be like gatekeepy guy or
no
whatever, but it's like
gatekeep is good.
But like but like they don't know a Stan Hansen match, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's insane because like that's what you're. It's almost like a responsibility to be like at least somewhat knowledgeable of the history of pro wrestling, and it's even more egregious when you get people talking about specific companies and they don't know the history of the company. Like you'll get modern reviewers of promotions of companies that have been around for 20 years and they haven't even seen shit. So like they're just talking about it from the perspective of like what they've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, and that's insane. I mean, everyone has to start somewhere, but it's when you're already put on like a pedestal with a following, like it's like almost the duty or a responsibility to at least be somewhat knowledgeable, because otherwise it's like you're screaming into nothing about nothing with no backup or context. We could have just jumped into a TNA review podcast, you know, like that would have been easy. But it's like this is what more people, I don't mean to be like more people should be like us, but like retrospectives should be a bigger thing.
There should be multiple for every company, frankly.
There's not even like WWE ones.
Well, there is, but we just do the Attitude Era over and over and over.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do WCW versus WWE.
That's the only thing we do retrospectives on. Like I know there's some that like dive into like Ruthless Aggression era, and I understand why no one wants to dive into like 2010 WWE. We did it for the Patreon show. It was unbearable to just do like 5 months of it. But like that's what we need more of. We need more of people diving. Like the Bryan Danielson Shield stuff is 10 years old now. Like that's I was thinking like when is the right time you can start doing AEW history stuff, and I was like we're coming up on 5 years since they launched Dynamite, so like when do we start talking about that stuff in like a historical context? I don't know, but like as I said, all we ever do is Monday Night War. It's all we ever do.
And like I understand that everyone's gonna have blind spots. This is a gigantic industry that has been around for a long ass time, but it's like you gotta at least own it if you don't know it.
Yeah, that's my big thing. My big thing is the confidence with which they make broad declarations that is not backed up by knowledge.
Oh, this is the best angle ever. This is the hottest storyline ever. This is the biggest draw ever. And you're like, shut up. It's not even the biggest draw or the best storyline, like whatever, of the company you're talking about.
And it's like my big frustration when I wrote about that wrestling Twitter thing I wrote like 4 months ago was that the people who do know this stuff, the people who do know better, keep getting dragged into the mud with these other people. We keep letting those people define how we talk about this stuff. Like those brainless people who have only seen 2 years of wrestling, who is like, this match is the best that has ever existed. And then next week they're like, this match is the best that has ever. And like Dave Meltzer does that too, I guess. Dave Meltzer has this new match of the year of the week every week. But
match of the life.
Yeah, every match is the new best match of all time to Dave, which I guess is a fun way to exist when you're in your 60s. Usually people go the other way, but anyway. Yeah,
but like, and also I don't think that like if you are someone new that like it doesn't disqualify you from talking about wrestling either. Like that's really fun to watch someone who hasn't seen anything see things for the first time,
and they can bring a new perspective on it. Like they can have a new take, seeing old stuff with modern eyes, being like, this is different in a good way or bad way from the stuff we watch right now.
But again, acknowledge that like well, that's what they'll be talking about, but like acknowledge that there is the gaps there. That like, and like, yeah, go out and explore it. It's fun. Like that's what I did from like 15 to now. You know, it's like I if there was things I didn't know about, like that was the fun thing. It was like finding as much things from a time period that you can, and digging in and finding new favorites, finding people that like you never would have seen otherwise. You're like, wow, this is like someone that I love now and think is a really like great talent, and now you unlock things like that, you know?
Especially for people for whom their entire career is done. Like, you can see the entire span of Terry Funk or Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair or Misawa or Curryman or anybody, you know? If you want silly, if you want fun, if you want main event, if you want undercard, if you want wrestling, if you want storytelling, it is all there if you're curious.
But, like, I mean, I get that part of it probably is that, like, when there's 20 hours of mainstream American television pro wrestling to watch a week, it probably does make it difficult. But, like, I don't know, make some time. Doesn't have to be a lot, just make some time. Find some things that, like, you wouldn't see otherwise.
And you do need help. That's what, like, again, to go back to my frustration with a lot of people who should know better aren't helping people. Like, you should have, here's how you approach Stan Hansen's career. You know, here's how you should, like, dive in. Here's where you can start from. Here are our 10 matches to start with and expand from. And we should be talking about that all the time for wrestlers. We only ever do it when they die. We wait for somebody to die, and then we're like, oh, well, it wasn't, like, Terry Funk really great. Here's how you should watch Terry Funk. No, we should be doing that all the time for every wrestler. Like, not just us going through TNA being like, well, we have our spreadsheet now, like, that you can go and you can see, you can 2 points of view about what the best matches from 2002 to 2006 are. We have that little curation thing there for patrons if you want it. Like, that should be there for everybody, for AJ, for Misawa, for Stan Hansen, for Hulk Hogan. Like, we should be curating that and celebrating it and talking about it, as opposed to what's the dopey wrestling Twitter talking point of the week. Do we need to send tweets about the WWE thing about, oh, you know, AEW are overpaying for talent? Do we need to even talk about that? No, we don't. It's a WWE PR bullshit thing. Nobody needs to say a word about it. It doesn't inform anybody. It doesn't make conversation better. It's reactionary bullshit. Let's celebrate pro wrestling.
Just, I don't know, it's fun to explore. And even if you think it's not going to be fun and there's not something there for you, there's always going to be something there for you.
So Loki is new X Division champion.
Yeah.
Sting emerges from Cornette's office after going in earlier. Cornette is going to work out just fine, says Sting. So he got what he wants. He got everything he wanted.
He's already fighting against exactly what Christian said.
Yeah, and he didn't tell Christian. He is appearing on the show to undermine Christian. June 29th Impact. Christian opens the show and he talks about how there'll be a company meeting with Jim Cornette later tonight, but he wants none of those politics. He just wants to talk to Sting. Christian knows that Cornette is going to give him back his title tonight. He says if Sting wants a title shot, he just has to ask, but have the balls to say it to his face.
I like this segment. We're getting a little more like heelish stuff from Christian, and it works way better.
Yeah, because Sting calls Christian Jeff Jarrett, and Christian's like, "Am I wearing white pants and look like an ass?" I think it is a tacit admission, and it is like the truth of Christian's career that the man has always been a better heel than he's been a babyface. And I wouldn't call him a flop as a babyface here in his first what are we at, like 7 or 8 months, but he is much better as a heel. So,
but it's like also you really don't want your biggest star in the company to be a heel if you can avoid it.
Yeah, and like the idea is he's coming in as this guy that WWE didn't treat properly, so you want to be like he's the hero here, as opposed to being like WWE didn't treat him properly and he's really bitter about it, which he is. But
like there's a reason that like Moxley was a babyface for the first 3 years of AEW.
Or even like Hogan to WCW, same thing.
Yeah, like it's just that's what it should be. Like that's how you should bring someone in.
Though maybe turning them within the first year is kind of a mission of failure, but...
Yeah. But, you know, I guess. We'll see. But also, again, like, American pro wrestling TV is very, like, shotgun blast, like, reactionary, go, bang, bang, boom. Not so much, like... You're not slow burning it as much.
I do think it does become a bit of a trend. Like, Christian comes in as a babyface, turns heel within the first year. Angle comes in as a babyface, turns heel within the first year. Booker comes in as a babyface, turns heel within the first year. Mick Foley comes in as a babyface, turns heel within the first year. Hulk Hogan comes in as a babyface, turns heel within the first year. Jeff Hardy comes in as a babyface, turns heel within the first year. So it's like, all of them, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because I think they immediately treat them like they're the furniture, you know, that they've been there the whole time.
And there is the universal truth: wrestling bookers are bad at booking baby faces.
It's harder than booking a heel.
It is, and they're bad at it, so they just turn people heel because that's easier. Sting says right now you do look like Jeff Jarrett. Sting has been where Christian is, but Christian's cracking under the pressure and second guessing people. He talked to Cornette last week, not about getting a title shot or anything like that. He just wanted a tag team match. Now, why he couldn't tell Christian last week that he was just asking for a tag team match, who knows?
Perhaps he is just testing him.
And Christian is failing comprehensively. But also, he has reason to be paranoid.
Like, it's hard to trust Sting, man. That guy's a shifty individual.
Yeah, when Sting is like, oh, you'll find out with the rest. He's just asking, like, he asked for Christian and Sting versus Steiner and Jarrett on TV. And of course, Cornette would book the match with stars on television. Why would he not book that? So why is Sting being so coy about it? Christian cuts Sting off then, and it's like, next week, it's showtime. So they appear to be on the same page once again.
The same page.
Just gonna let it sit in silence. Awkward silence.
I love when jokes deliver.
JB has Jarrett and Steiner. Steiner says they're not big and strong enough to win. He's disgusted that he picked a partner from Ethiopia because apparently they have better muscle tone in Ethiopia than Christian, is what he was going for.
Yeah, because he's saying that Christian is malnourished.
Jarrett says Cornette's only possible choice is to affirm the Slammiversary results, stop the vote, and give Jarrett the title belt. Steiner asks if Joe has learned his lesson. So still Steiner-Joe stuff.
I did like the immediate cut to Jarrett and Steiner. Get their reaction on what has transpired. And also, neither of them being cowards about it either. They're just like, yeah, let's fucking go, we'll throw hands.
So the main event segment of this show is one we'll come back to a lot for the various stories this month.
It's like a goddamn woke liberal rainbow in the...
It is.
in the written format.
Yeah, in our notes we color code the stories now to make it easier to track like the segments for each, and this is the most trans-coded segment of the notes there has ever been.
Ironic it's in the Cornette segment.
Sure is. So Cornette holds a public meeting where he addresses the various characters and stories of TNA, so that's the reason we'll be coming back to this like 5 times. But for the purposes of the main event story, he calls Earl, Jarrett, and Larry into the ring. Steiner joins them. Cornette then fires Earl Hebner.
I like that when Steiner gets in the ring, Cornette's like, well, I didn't call you in, but you get your big ass in here too.
And Eric Young celebrates the firing of Earl Hebner like he has won the Super Bowl, because it is not him.
Yeah. We should have been to the bit like Cornette goes, I haven't decided on you yet.
Cornette says the words, I'm sick of hearing about Montreal and I'm not letting it go any further. Well, Jim, I have bad news for you. TNA do at least 2 more big Montreal-based segments before we're done. At least 2 that I can remember.
Well, Cornette might not have been there for those, so he has plausible deniability.
So then he circles back later to the NWA World Title situation because he is holding the title in abeyance. Technically not vacated. I think they just affirmed the results. So there's no vacated. It's not a second Jarrett reign, you'll be pleased to know, over this period. Cornette doesn't like handing people titles like some people do with their son-in-law.
Good shot.
Sting and Christian were neck and neck, so he can't award the title to either one of them because the other one will be mad. So he books a number 1 contenders match for Victory Road. It will be Steiner versus Sting versus Christian versus Samoa Joe. Joe gets a big reaction. And then the winner will face the still world champion, Jeff Jarrett, at Hard Justice in August. Cornette is sweating here.
I like them giving the title back to Jeff here because like it does feel like something that like sports manager man Jim Cornette would do, because he would be like, I don't want to have another like vacation on the like title history. I would rather just set up a strong contender to face Jarrett.
Yeah, it does make sense that, like, Jarrett, you have the belt, but it will not be for long because we have the 4 biggest killers in TNA in this number 1 contenders match, and the winner is going to be coming for you. That kind of thing.
It's good. I think it feels very, like, real.
I do like that Jarrett does not give a shit about the number 1 contenders match. He's just ecstatic that he got his belt back.
Because he's like, in his mind, he's like 80% sure he's not going to get to keep that belt.
Some fans start throwing trash, so Steiner shouts at them. Jarrett and Steiner brawl with Christian and Sting to close the show to set up the tag match next week, and then Joe chokes out Steiner as we go off the air. Jim Cornette was in hospital the day before leaving for Orlando because he has so little range of motion in his knee. The spot at Slammiversary where he threw the cane away wasn't planned. It was actually almost a panic situation. He was swinging the cane, and with the heat, he was sweating heavily, and the cane flew out of his hands and into the crowd. At that point, he basically had no choice than to somehow move very slowly on the ramp without the cane. It was described that on the first night with that building filled with hardcore fans, he got a face reaction. The first interview on the second night with the crowd filled with a lot of park goers who only knew him from the old days, he was booed at first.
Well, I would attest. I would attest. They didn't know him so much from the old days as they did not know him, and he was acting like a cunt.
I do like that Dave likes the idea that, like, the random Universal Studios park goer, of course, knew
These 8-year-olds who were at Universal Park tapings.
They were watching their 1980s NWA, and of course they remembered Jim Cornette as a heel manager, so they booed him.
Yeah, they loved the new Midnights versus the old Midnights.
The second interview on the second night, the crowd was with him until he gave the title back to Jarrett, at which point people started throwing pots.
Save big on your Labor Day barbecue, all in the Baker's app.
Get tender USDA choice bone-in Kansas City strip steaks for $7.99 a pound with your card and a digital coupon. Then buy 2, get 3 free on 12 packs of delicious Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up with your card.
Shop these deals at your local Baker's, less than 10 miles away, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Cornette wasn't on the tapings for the second half of the month, and he's missing the Victory Road pay-per-view because of an ROH pay-per-view commitment, and the Hard Justice pay-per-view because he has a wrestling convention in Washington that weekend. The deal is, if he's needed, he'll come to Nashville and tape interviews to be inserted into the TV show.
Seems like a good deal for Jim Cornette.
Yeah, it's doing pretty okay there, isn't he?
It's like, I feel like a lot of other people wouldn't be getting away with, I want to work ROH instead, and I want to do a convention.
Or signing a deal and not showing up to, like, the first half of the dates afterward.
Yeah, they fired Roderick for something similar.
And they didn't even, like, no-show TNA. They were like, we just want to do the Ring of Honor date before TNA.
Yeah.
August 6th Impact, JB is with Sting outside his locker room looking for comments about the biggest match in Impact history, the main event, Sting and Christian versus Jarrett and Steiner. Christian walks up and wonders, does JB have a crush on him? Because he appears to appear wherever Christian is.
And maybe.
Sting and he are partners tonight, but opponents at Victory Road.
Can they coexist, some would ask.
It's a time-old question. An ageless question, some might say. Or an aged question. JB has Steiner and Jarrett. They're going to start taking people out tonight, starting with Christian and Sting. Then Steiner will take out Joe. And then JB is like, if you take out Christian and Sting, then you beat Joe, you're number one contender. And Jarrett's like, don't you start driving a wedge between us. But Steiner is deep in thought.
He's like,
NWA world title, you say?
Well, the thing about Steiner is, like, it's been very adamant, like, his whole reason that he's here is because Jarrett is his mate.
He's been paid to take out Sting, and he is wanting to take out Sting.
And he doesn't like Joe.
JB has Joe. Joe says Scott Steiner can't beat him. You can make all the plans, but the minute you step into the ring with him, it all changes. Runs down his 3 opponents at the pay-per-view. It's not about beating Steiner anymore. It's about hurting him. And then our big main event, Christian Cage and Sting defeat Scott Steiner and Jeff Jarrett in the biggest match in Impact history. Do you think this is the biggest match in Impact history?
Well, there's always the biggest match in fucking Impact history. It's a big match that feels like a good TV main event.
Yeah, stars in the main event is fun.
That is what I will give it.
Chanae says the words we hate more than any other are Jeff Jarrett, NWA World Champion. You're damn right, Mike.
Blah.
Sting places Steiner's chainmail on his head and punches him, which is a funny bit.
That's so Sting. It's like the most Sting spot ever.
Christian goes up top, and Jarrett pushes Christian off the top of the floor. And he takes a flip bump off the top to the floor for a crash to break. And it's the stupidest spot I've ever seen anybody take for that.
And it's an extra quarter star on the match.
It really is. It's one of those bumps that you're like, holy shit, what are you doing? I don't think he meant to do it. I think he meant to just like go off the top into the rail, but realized he fell wrong, so just took the bump to the floor. But good God.
I wonder what was going through Christian Cage's head in that moment.
I'd imagine there's a little bit of, oh my God, I'm going to die. You know?
Fuck.
Like, anytime you probably take a bump that you didn't plan to take, your brain is literally just like, this is it. I'm going to die. This is the end of my life and career. Heat on Christian, hot tag to Sting. Christian pulls the referee out when Jarrett hits Sting with the stroke. Sting hits the death drop on Jarrett, and Christian falls with a frog splash for the win. Didn't steal the pin. It looked like they were going to set it up to steal the pin, but he didn't steal it. He just won with the frog splash. Sting and Christian embrace and celebrate. Steiner jumps them after the match. Joe makes the save and goes after Steiner as Christian stands alone holding the NWA World title.
He wants to be the champion again. That's his belt.
It felt like this probably should have been like the go home show main event, because the actual go home show, they kind of had nothing. So July 13th, there was features on everybody in the Road to Victory 4-way. One on Sting, one on Steiner, in which he said Christian is a filthy Canadian, Showtime will end and Samoa Joe is fat. One on Christian, where he gives out about Cornette firing the referee but upholding the decision. He's like, how can you do that? How can you say the referee was culpable but then uphold the decision of the referee? Which is actually a fair point.
That is a valid point, Christian Cage.
One with Joe, and then, of course, one on Jarrett. It's like, I had nothing to do with Larry and Earl, and I'm willing to take a lie detector test to prove it. Remember that one for next month. Takes us to Victory Road. There's a video package that opens the show where Jeff Jarrett hacks the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Solomon Crow, Jeff Jarrett here.
The original hacker gimmick, Jeff Jarrett. He hacks the feed and does his ha-ha-ha-ha, including the I brought TNA to Hulk Hogan line, which I do appreciate them getting in all the goddamn time.
I mean, it's a good line. You can't take it from the boy.
It's been 3 years since that happened, and he's still, every video package and every promo, it's like, Hulk Hogan tried to come to TNA, I brought TNA to Hulk Hogan.
How many people watching do you think actually remember that?
Because they're on Spike now, so it's probably nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. They probably only remember it from seeing it in the video package a million times.
Exactly.
JB has Christian. He says, the old Christian took a little sabbatical, but now he's back. Steiner lacks heart. Joe wants to be the man, but he is the man. And Sting is a carton of milk. Good for you until it expires like Sting has.
Sick?
He's a good guy. He's a nice guy. Nothing's going to happen. JB has Steiner. Joe is fat. He will follow a trap line of donuts. That was his thing. He was like, I'm gonna lure Joe away from the match by dropping donuts all the way, and then he will eat the donuts and he'll be gone.
That's cool.
Christian is a Canadian. Eat a steak, stick man, and go to Mexico North. Is what he says to him. In the middle of the LAX angle, by the way. And he's going to take out Sting like he was brought in to do.
I do appreciate that has been his one major goal this whole time. He's had his distractions with the Samoa Joe, but he's still here to kill Sting.
JB has Joe. This is the only shot Joe is going to need. He's going to kill them and become number one contender. And then we have our main event. Sting, Christian Cage, Samoa Joe, and Scott Steiner to become number one contender. Main event of the pay-per-view. Sting wins in a match they needlessly overbooked.
I mean, did you expect it not to be like a giant overbooked mess?
Well, like, the problem was Jeff Jarrett was not on the pay-per-view, and of course Jeff Jarrett has to find a way to make himself annoyingly present on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Because I think the work is really good, and if they just did a four-way that Sting won, it would have been really good, except Jeff Jarrett had to show up, and he had to throw gasoline in Sting's eyes, he had to fake him being a cameraman, and it was like, oh my god, it's Jeff Jarrett. And then we had to do the most annoying angle in the world, where Sting is taken to the back, but he comes back and wins. It's like, guys, just do the match.
And, like, despite the sting of it all, I thought it was still pretty good, though. A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, because you got it down to Steiner, Joe, and Christian, and they just had a really good match.
Didn't we also get the famous, like, Christian Cage, Scott Steiner botch?
Yes, this is the famous Christian phantom throw into the apron, where Steiner is trying to slam his head in the apron, but his fingers slip off. But Christian still does the bash his head off the apron, and it looks very bad. And you can hear Steiner shout, "Oh shit," after he does it. It's very funny. I never heard the "oh shit" before until I went back to do the notes for this, and I laughed my ass off.
That's when I knew wrestling was fake.
That exposed the business for you?
Yeah, it did. Because that was the clip. That was the clip everyone uses.
Was it actually, like, legitimately?
Yeah.
I thought you were doing a bit. Oh my god. This is the moment that exposed the business?
That's the clip. That's the one I couldn't deny it anymore.
You're like, well, yeah, he does just slam his own head off the apron.
Yeah, I was still defending it at a brisk 8 years old.
You see, I don't think I ever had that, because, like, obviously when I was 8, it would have been 2000, where we didn't have access to clips of people botching shit on the internet. Thanks, Matthew. It's all your fault. But, so, like, it would have had to become a more organic realization for me to be like, of course this is fake. But I didn't have, like, that one thing where it's like, undeniable clip proves wrestling fake.
Yeah. It's right up there with, like, Rey Mysterio wrestling without mask.
There was a lot of it. It's called WCW.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
All the mystery was gone.
All the Mysterio.
Should have just called him King.
Just called him late to dinner.
See, that's a joke so bad that it circles back to being good.
Finally, I've reached my But
Steiner elbow drops Joe off the apron through a table on the floor, which looked really good. Steiner hits a terrifying top rope suplex on Christian where he nearly dropped him, which looked less good, but also great, I guess, in the same way. Sting reemerges, has a face down to Christian, but Steiner dumps Joe and Christian out to the floor. Sting then pins Steiner with a Scorpion Death Drop as Christian is mad that Sting won, but does shake his hand.
Again, Steiner not afraid to take pinfalls.
He's been losing left, right, and center. Lost to Joe, took a pin to Sting on TV, or did that go to a DQ? That might have went to a DQ. But he took the pin in the tag as well, didn't he?
Pretty sure.
As I have to scroll back up to confirm that he did take the pin in the tag. Where is that? Oh no, they pinned Jarrett, I think, on TV. Never mind. But still.
But the fact that I wouldn't have been surprised, you know?
But like the thing is, he hasn't like won a match. He's arguably lost too much. That like the only person he really beat was like Andy Douglas, and was that a real match or did he just beat him up? I don't even remember.
I think he just killed him.
Yeah, so like they brought Steiner in, had him pin nobody, and he's only put over Samoa Joe and Sting. So like thumbs up. That's exactly what you'd want.
Like you kind of expect Scott Steiner to be more of a prick. But he's been cool.
Certainly harder to work with. Speaking of him not being cool, though, Joe wasn't happy at TV. He showed up with a large welt under his eye when Steiner potatoed him at the pay-per-view. He ended up in an argument with D'Amore in front of the wrestlers. D'Amore was on him about something, and Joe yelled at him, and D'Amore eventually apologized in the end. So whatever happened, they made good, but Joe wasn't happy because Steiner was working too snug.
I mean, like, I appreciate that, like, Joe has never been someone who has been afraid to, like, bring up if he feels like he's been wronged, you know?
Especially this era of Joe.
Yeah, like, it's someone who's, like, he isn't a vet, like, by American TV standards, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's, like, a level-headedness to like, later career Joe that comes from kind of this, like, passionate, kind of hot-headedness.
He had his rebellious stage.
Because like there's this one, there's obviously the Hall promo, there's the one in like 2010, 2011 where he wrestled RVD to a time limit draw and he got really mad that they announced the time cues and he got suspended for that one too. Like there's a few incidents over his TNA career where he got like really hot and passionate about things, and like if you listen to an interview with him now, he's like very much go with the flow, level-headed, and I do think it's literally like maturity. It's literal maturity over time. It's like, yeah, I probably didn't need to lose my shit about stuff like that.
Well, I think part of it is probably he like is a vet now. He is someone that the locker room looks up to. But like he also knows, and he knows when to pick and choose his spots to like be that guy who needs to like be an intimidating presence, because like we saw it at All In, right, with the Punk stuff where he's like, get the fuck out there, don't take this from me, I'm having my match in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's like, he still has that streak in him. I think he just knows when to use it now.
And I guess, as you mentioned, he's not the vet locker room leader here, whereas he is now. So if Samoa Joe is chewing you out for something, he can do that with a lot more authority than he can do with Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
So yes, Hard Justice, main event, Sting versus Jeff Jarrett. That's what you have to look forward to next month.
Okay. I'm sure that won't be a match that gets drilled into my fucking brain a million times.
They don't do it that much. I can think of 3 Sting and Jarrett matches. I'm sure there's one on TV that I'm not remembering, but there's only 3 that I can think of.
Okay, well that is less than I expect. Yet more than I had hoped.
Let's go over to the most important heavyweight story of the month: Raven and Larry Zbyszko.
What a joy. We are finally back to the days. We're back to the days of Eric Watts and Don Callis.
With old men
Real
wrestling when they shouldn't.
Pro wrestling.
We go back to the Jim Cornette company meeting. He addresses Larry Zbyszko. He's like, I can't fire you, Larry, without having to pay out your contract, and I don't want to do that. But if you breach your contract in any way, you can be fired. And I looked over your contract, and your contract allows me to book you in wrestling matches.
I could have told you that because of the AJ Styles stuff.
Yeah, you've seen Larry's wrestling matches. You remember that weird Jarrett and Elite Guard and Shamrock versus Larry Zbyszko and 3 Live Crew and Dusty guitar on a pole match. Everyone remembers that. Everyone loved that.
Of course I do.
So Jim understands that Larry's been having some issues with Raven. And Larry is sensitive about his hair. Because for months and months they've been doing shots at Larry's hair because he's getting his hair redone. So every time Bald Man Slick Johnson walks into the room, he's like, Larry, you're looking a little short up top.
It's funny because like now in pro wrestling and with how like prevalent like hair like replacement surgery is now, like everywhere. It's like, I feel like it's not even a thing people are like embarrassed about anymore.
Because you would think, I think, like, didn't Kyle take a shot at MJF on it on Twitter? But I don't think anybody has mentioned, like, MJF's hair restoration on TV.
Yeah, which, like, A, is that, like, insecurities, or is that, like, B, like, it's just everyone does it now?
We've accepted vanity as part of the culture, as opposed to here where we're like, how dare you be vain enough to cling to your hair?
It's like, $3,000, trip to Turkey, and you bing bang boom, you're back.
Yeah, back in the glory days, baby.
It's crazy.
So he books hair versus hair, Raven versus Larry at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, like, I'll leave my thoughts until the actual match, I feel, because it's about the whole thing.
Raven was scheduled to do an angle at Slammiversary, but he was hospitalized that day and couldn't attend. He recovered enough to be at TV the next day, though. August 6th Impact, Larry Z shouts at Slick Johnson. Slick tells Larry he'll look great bald. In fact, he is going to do some mock-ups to show Larry. So he comes out later in the show and hands out photoshops of Larry bald. Eric Young is like, I need help, I'm going to be fired. And Slick is like, if you hand these out, I'll help you, because I'm in with Jim Cornette. And he was like, oh, Jim Cornette, he's powerful. Team Canada comes out like, what the hell, why are you helping this dude? That's stupid.
And some just amazing photoshopping done here.
Truly, like, cutting edge, top of the line 2006 Photoshop going on.
Yeah, this is what you want.
I wondered, like, did they think that looked good, or did they deliberately like to be like, let's make it a little shit because it's funnier that way?
I think they thought it looked good.
That's like the best 2006 technology could do in TNA's hands, at least.
That's the best Jeremy Borash could bust out on 0 hours sleep.
Yeah. July 13th Impact, we had a feature on Larry versus Raven and hair versus hair. They called back, of course, the Raven scalping at the hands of James Mitchell. This is not his first hair match in TNA.
It went really well for him last time.
Yeah, he won. Well, I was going to say he has a tougher opponent, but last time it was Shane Douglas. So it does. I think he might have a tougher opponent this time as opposed to last time.
Yeah.
Larry starts chasing Slick around, tearing up the photos as he hands them out. As we go to the pay-per-view, JB has Larry. Larry tells JB to shut up. He's in the best condition of his life, and Raven is finally going to have to pay the piper for all he has done to Larry Zbyszko. Slick Johnson then walks up, and Larry says the sensational quote, "Oh, what do you want, you stupid stooge?" I love Larry. I'll miss Larry.
I like that, like, the whole feud has been built around being, like, afraid of Raven, and now he's like, I'm ready to fight it. You've been running from me this whole time. You're finally gonna have to fight me.
Yeah, Larry. He's so good. I love him. Slick will be the referee for the match, and he will call it right down the middle, and then there's a pose where he, like, shaves his head down the middle.
Yeah, insinuating that perhaps he won't call it right down the middle.
Raven defeats Larry Zbyszko in hair versus hair.
So, like, this feud has been going on for fucking ever.
Literal year.
A literal year. Like, on and off, because, like, Raven isn't allowed to show up for more than one TV in a pay-per-view cycle for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fucking dead in the water. This feud is, by the time they get to the blow-off. Not a single person in this crowd gives a fuck or a shit about this.
I wonder if the crowd is a little bit like us and actually kind of likes Larry.
I think that might be part of it. Part of it is Raven's never around and also isn't hot anymore. And, like, I think part of it is just, like, half of them probably have forgotten this shit happened. Let's be real. It is, like, so start and stop, hot and cold. Like, you would have thought they could have... Like, I would forgive anyone who thought that they already did the blow-off to this.
Because you would think, as you said, like, the match isn't hot, but that's fine. It's a Raven-Larry Zbyszko match. I don't expect it to be hot. But you would at least expect the crowd to be into somebody having their head shaved. And, they give that enough time that they expected the crowd to be into it. It's not like a few quick whizzes through with the razor and they cut to the back. They stay on the head shave for like 10 minutes. So, like, they expected that to be this real, like, cathartic moment where the crowd are into Larry getting his comeuppance, and they're not. They just kind of sit there. They're not into it at all. And, like, the announcers are laughing, and Slick Johnson is laughing, and it's like the crowd are just there. They don't care. They don't care about Larry getting his head shaved, and it's really weird. I guess it's not weird, as you said. It makes a lot of sense.
It's not weird. It's completely understandable. It's just, like, it's disappointing, I guess. And, like, the match was still fun. They grappled.
They had a wrestling match, which is really funny.
They didn't even really, like, brawl that much. They just sort of wrestled.
Yeah, Larry once again does the TNA kick. The innovator. The man behind it. The man that Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley and all those people that used it a lot more learned. We learned that in the AJ matches. The innovator of the TNA kick, and he does it again. I popped huge for it. You can go back and listen to the watch along. He does the TNA kick. I'm very happy.
the X Division icon, Larry Zbyszko.
Yeah. So, like, Tenay ties this back to controversy in Canada, but it actually goes back further than that. If you remember, like, the build-up to Slammiversary where Raven won the belt, he's being, like, held out of that match until Jarrett does some bullshit. And Jarrett's that weekend, and Raven gets in and wins. So, like, this match goes all the way back to Slammiversary last year. That's where we started doing, like, the Raven and Larry stuff. And somehow, here we are, over a year later, 13 months later, and no one gives a fuck about the blow-off. So, they spent a year trying to tell this story, and they did not stick the landing or the middle or arguably the start.
But it certainly happened, and we can give them that forever.
Sure did. So Slick gets bumped, Larry hits a low blow, but Raven kicks out. Larry goes after Slick. Actually, the match starts with Slick tripping Larry, which is rude. How can Jim Cornette stand for that, by the way? The referee is blatantly partial to one of the competitors.
Yeah, Slick should get fired next.
This honestly, something so egregious didn't happen under Larry Zbyszko's stewardship.
Exactly.
So yeah, Raven back for the win. Larry tries to run, but security brings him back out. Raven duct tapes Larry to the chair. Raven chafes his head. Larry fires security as Raven chafes his chest. Larry be like, "You're fired. You are fired." It's very funny. Don gets in on the action, doing a little bit of shaving. Slick then shows Larry his reflection in the mirror, but Larry kicks him in the balls. Which the announcers totally missed, by the way. They missed that Larry kicked him on the balls while he went to show him his reflection in the mirror. So they're like, why the fuck is Slick Johnson on the floor? The announcers have no idea why Slick Johnson is, like, writhing in pain.
That just proves that he's really good at what he does.
He does get back up to do some shaving himself. Even before losing the hair match, the medical hair restoration company was advertising Larry Zbyszko as one of its clients. Larry is getting hair plugs put in shortly. The same group treated Wade Boggs, a baseball superstar who was friends with many Florida-based wrestlers, as well as Jimmy Hart more than 6 months ago. Why does he... Okay. Oh, that's when he got his hair done, I assume, as opposed to the time period in which he was friends with Wade Boggs, as the sentence seems to suggest. And is soon to be doing similar surgeries for Chavo Guerrero Sr. and Jr. So Larry is a poster boy for this new hair restoration clinic.
How is Chavo's hair holding up?
I think he's bald now, so...
I'm going to go to his AEW look. I'm going to give him some credit. Like a year or two ago now. Bald as a motherfucker.
The hair restoration did not go as well as he'd hoped.
What does Chavo Guerrero think about AEW? I'm going to read this article real quick.
I hope it's a very practical, pragmatic approach and not the usual old man wrestler thing.
Chavo Guerrero Jr. thinks AEW needs more micromanagement.
No, it doesn't. It has way too much.
In WWE, the producers, the agents, they get really involved in your managers. In AEW, they kind of let you do your own thing.
Alright. I guess a man who does producing would probably say wrestling needs more producers, to be fair. Wrestling needs to give me a job more, is effectively what Chavo Guerrero was saying right there.
Yeah. What a weird, brief run. We'll see you in a few years, Chavo.
And freaking 4 different companies that we cover. Though I think he's done with Lucha Underground. We might be free of him there.
Yeah.
That brings us over to the final heavyweight feud of the month, which is Monty Brown and Rhino. July 22nd Impact. Monty Brown squashes Chase and Rance.
I have nothing to say about anyone involved.
You hate Monty?
I don't love Monty.
He's... Because if you go back and watch like a 2005 Monty squash, particularly the first ones when they were on Spike, they were so satisfying. And like the sign that Monty is like checked out and no one gives a fuck about him and I don't give a fuck about him is even Monty squashes now are like, you know?
It's like, yeah, okay, he does the same thing he's been doing.
But he doesn't even have like the same energy behind them. You can see it. You can see he's out the door. Like you can feel it in him.
Yeah.
Slick Johnson is wearing shorts and he has a soccer jersey here, which he pairs back to just the shorts. But Tenay is like, is that to do with the World Cup?
Sure.
Pounce, period. Rance kind of kicks out on 3. Fuck you.
What a piece of shit.
For so many reasons. Conan gets on the mic. We'll talk about this more, but we'll talk about the Monty period here, I guess. And invites him to join LAX. He's like, you have a great physique. You have sick microphone skills, fly clothes. You're college educated, and they hold you back. And he's like, you're dead right. Says Monty's lack of title shots is by design, but don't be a minority and complain in this country because they don't seek dialogue. Reiterates his offer to join LAX. Monty politely declines, and Conan says he can stand alone like Ron Killings and Sanjay Dutt. We'll circle back to that because it becomes a 3LK family drama angle. It's back for one more month.
Oh, wow. One final dramatic entry.
Following week, June 29th, Monty squashes Norman Smiley, pounce, period.
Indeed.
Norman did hit a couple of nice snug uppercuts before he got pounced and perioded.
Indeed.
The August 6th Impact, we had a feature on Rhino, because if you remember, there was some up in the airness last month about whether or not Rhino would stay. They were trying to poach him for ECW. So there was a feature here from the ECW arena, I think, saying his heart is in TNA and he signed a new deal. TNA don't give you lines. They tell you to shoot, brother. And he's shooting on WWE, firing him right now. It's like, when you break a few pots in a hotel, this company stands by you. They don't fire you. It is very funny that not only is he shooting pew pew, but every time he curses, they do a big like sound effect to cover the curse. It's very funny.
The Rhino stuff this month has been good.
We'll get to the best part of it, but like he's fired up. He's just passionate and fired up, and it rocks. Same show, Monty squashed Kenny King. Kenny gets some punches in, but pounce, period, for the win. Monty grabs the mic afterwards and said he doesn't pad his record with tiny gazelles like Samoa Joe did. He beats killers like Kenny King and Norman Smiley and Chasen Rance. He's coming for the big hunt like Rhino and Christian and Scott Steiner and Sting, and they shall all fall to the pounce.
Period.
And then, opening of the July 13th Impact. Rhino's in the ring with a bag.
This is awesome. This is so sick. This is so cool.
If this happened in 2024, people would be so unbearable about it.
Oh, God. No, they would... if AEW did it, they'd be like, company's dead. Look at the tactics they're resorting to. WWE did it, they'd be like, this is an epic win. Papa H has pwned them again.
So, Rhino's in the ring with his bag, and he's like, Vince offered me a job, and Rhino told him to kiss his ass because he is TNA. Goes off about Vince wanting to revive ECW. How can you do that when you don't even have their last ever TV and world champion, both of whom were Rhino? He has the ECW title in the bag, and he'd take it out to show us if the lawyers wouldn't come and get him for it. They sent him a bunch of legal letters to get it back, and then it's like, I wonder why. I was thinking about this while watching this. Like, did they just try to sign him just to get the belt back? I do wonder, is like, we would like those belts back, but asking Rhino nicely will probably result in maybe him cutting a promo on the other company's television show about us being bullshit. So what if we offered him a contract in which he will still cut a promo about us being bullshit on another person's television show?
I think they were just looking for any ECW names.
True. And he's still like a guy in his prime who can go, so.
I mean, they signed like Bowles Mahoney, you know?
Yeah. He's gonna do something he should have done 5 years ago. So he leaves the ring, he goes backstage to a barrel, and he says ECW is dead, and the heart and soul of it is in TNA. He then drops the belt into a barrel, and he's like, you think that's it? You think that's all I'm gonna do? I'm gonna set it on fire so Vince can't profit off our blood, sweat, and tears. Death to ECW, long live TNA, and throws out an open challenge to anybody.
Death to ECW, long live TNA is going to be in the intro this month.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we're going to include it again in August 2010 when they do the ECW reunion show.
Hell fuck yeah. I like this. And I was, a while ago, I was watching the Briscoes versus Steen and Generico feud in ROH.
Yep.
And, like, I was watching their, like, Chicago street fight, and I was like, this kind of, like, this is what, like, if they were serious about an ECW revival,
yeah,
this is what it should have been.
And honestly, if you do think about over time what ECW would have turned into, it would have become probably a more prevalent version of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
it's just very interesting. It was like, I was like watching that match, and I was like, the Briscoes existed, and they weren't like ECW, you know.
Like, the one thing you would have to give Paul is that I think the first thing he would have recognized as you move from like 1999 to 2002 is like the cultural moment that made ECW so prominent had moved on, and he would have absolutely pivoted.
Also, being the rebellious company doesn't work when you're actually WWE.
When you're secretly being bankrolled by WWE the whole time.
Not secretly.
Well, it was meant to be.
Blatantly.
I guess they did appear on WWE's television programming.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it just feels like... Well, I think like, Heyman's, like, fully admitted that. Is that, like, it would have ended up being, like, an ROH, like, with a focus more on, like, the in-ring and the UFC stylings.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting thing. How far, like, because obviously Ring of Honor did try to go, like, all in on MMA adjacent stuff in, like, the Kyle O'Reilly era. How far would Paul have went on that? Because I think he would have looked at it. He would have been like, this is the relevant thing of our time, so this is the thing we should emulate. But
that's what Angle's gimmick was going to be.
Yeah, I guess it was, on actual ECW. You're right.
Yeah, like, like Angle's, and like that's why he had Angle and he had Benoit.
He wanted like the wrestling machine people to be like straight-laced fighters.
Which would have been cool, and like obviously would have made it stand out thoroughly to like 2006 WWE.
Yeah. The ECW kind of weirdly found its identity as like a really good C show in the end.
Yeah, we should cover some the ECW stuff eventually. I guess it would be appropriate for us to do it now, considering it's the same time period. But we've got to kill Lucha Underground first.
It did just launch, yeah.
So either make us $500 more a month on Patreon, or you can wait until Lucha Underground's dead and then we'll do ECW.
I believe it's announced at some point in the Go Home show. I don't remember when. After Rhino throws out the challenge, that it'll be Rhino and Monty at the pay-per-view, because the idea they're both kind of throwing out challenges, so they'll be paired off as opposed to wrestling somebody cool. Which does take us to the pay-per-view. Monty Brown versus Rhino. It's not a match. It ends in a no contest. Andrew Thomas gets pounced nearly immediately as they brawl at ringside. He then also gets gored, so tough night for Andrew Thomas.
I'm gonna admit a very salacious sin.
What?
I'm ready for Monty to fuck off.
Yeah, like as I said, you feel it's gone. It's just gone.
Every time he comes out, I go, Monty.
Because like he's so thoroughly done nothing, honestly, since the Jarrett match, since January 2005. Like he had that weird tag team with Kip James, then he went into like back into the Jarrett orbit where he had to team with him for the Sting match. He had the Christian main event, which wasn't very good, then disappeared for a while, and now he's just back, kind of just milling about doing nothing.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough, man. He should have been the biggest babyface in the world, and now he's this.
It's a shame.
Yeah, they brawl until the match is thrown out and security separate them. So we will come back to this, actually, with a fucking awesome match next month.
Yeah, well, there you go. We'll be like, wow, well, Monty, stay forever. We love you.
Because next month is Monty versus Rhino versus Joe in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and it fucking rocks. That brings us over to the X Division, in which there's not a ton this month. As we mentioned, Low Key wins the X Division title from Joe in the first Impact of the month. Then Low Key doesn't really do anything. So...
Excuse you. He kills Jarrell Clark.
Yeah, he has one match. He beats Jarrell Clark, Warriors Way, replays the finish because they're trying to get over the Warriors Way.
You know what it is? It's
what?
Like, AJ's gone, X Division title suffers. Joe comes in, brings irrelevancy. Joe, they're like, well, time for you to be on the real show. X Division title disappears.
Yeah, and like, it's not a talent issue, I don't think. Because obviously when you look at the layer below Styles, Daniels, Joe, who are main event guys, like Styles and Daniels are off in the tag division, Joe is off in the heavyweight stuff now. You still have like Lethal and Shelley and Sanjay and Petey and Loki.
I think it's star perception.
Yeah, it's like they don't see these guys on the same level as they saw Styles, Daniels, Joe, which is funny because they got Styles, Daniels, Joe to that level by treating them as like headlined acts, which they don't do with these like next generation guys.
Well, because remember, like Joe still had to prove himself to these people.
And it's a shame because I do think like if they just committed to the group of guys below Styles, Daniels, Joe the same way they did with Styles, Daniels, and Joe.
Yeah, they would have had. I mean, like what are we? 2006. It takes 8 years almost for Saban to get to that level.
Yeah, which is a shame. But like, especially if you still had Aries and Strong in the mix, you would have a really good base there. But as you said, they very clearly did not see these guys as proper guys. They were firm, like they saw Styles, Daniels, Joe potentially as like future main event guys, I think very clearly. Whereas they see this next generation as quote unquote just X Division wrestlers, I think.
Right. And it doesn't help when like there's a big X Division feud currently going on where there's a guy going, I'm mocking the X Division.
We'll talk about that in a sec. But the X Division title match at Victory Road was meant to be a 3-way double surprise. So there was meant to be 2 surprise opponents. Frankie was always meant to be one. The other was meant to be the return of Incognito, who's in the Super
Oh my
X
god. Incognito cage match.
Somehow Incognito's phone or email or something wasn't working, and he didn't know about the ticket they sent. So
that's crazy.
Literal incognito.
When was his last match?
Are you sure you have the right one? Because I think there's another wrestler called Incognito.
Oh, this is like Incognito who became Sin Cara, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. He's wrestled 5 times this year.
He's over like 50 now, right?
44.
Okay.
Mostly for his own promotion, which is based. Seems to be having a feud with a Bobby Lee Jr.
Who the fuck is that?
Who is a 52-year-old.
Good for him.
They are competing repeatedly for the IOCW title. Which he beat Andrade. Oh my god, what a match.
What?
Okay, so the match is for the aforementioned title. And it is Cinta de Oro defeating Andrade El Idolo, Diamante Azul, and Penta El Zero M.
He's getting good guys in his company.
Yeah, so I want to watch some Cinta de Oro. I gotta admit, I was kind of like amped for this man when he left.
When he left WWE?
Yeah.
He hasn't really done much though, has he?
No, I mean, he probably has a lot of money. He was there for a long time. I kind of like, I mean, I like Sin Cara. Don't you?
I was in the building for Sin Cara's debut match.
Well, not the first Sin Cara.
No, I like that Sin Cara most.
No, I don't fuck with Sin Cara 1.
It's my hot take that I think Mystico is good. But I bought the Sin Cara t-shirt that night too.
I have a different take.
What?
I think that the second Sin Cara is better.
You think he should get the Mystico post in CMLL now?
Yep. They should bring him in to feud with Mystico and CMLL.
They probably should. That would be a good idea.
I don't know, like, the what do you call it? The logistics of it all.
The politics?
The politics, yeah. I want to find me some... I can only find a match from 2 years ago.
Gotta reach out to Luchablog to get access.
I need to send you this match, because you need to look at this venue.
Okay.
It fucking rocks. Sorry, my internet's really slow. Rayo versus Cinta de Oro for the IOCW. Look at this sweet-ass venue.
So if our friends at home would like to see this, just search Rayo versus Cinta de Oro, you should find it.
Just search Cinta de Oro and it's the only match that shows up.
Oh, that is awesome. It's like out in the street.
Yeah.
I love cool wrestling venues. I hate like the same buildings and arenas. Fuck them. Do like weird
Oh no, he's
wrestling.
with Alberto.
I'm not watching. Closing the video.
Don't they like... I thought they didn't like each other.
Well, the friends have made a politics change, eh?
Well, I guess like he is too maybe AAA adjacent to get a CMLL deal. Or maybe also people wouldn't give a single shit. Like maybe that's just it. Maybe we are completely talking out of our Western ass with our fucking American shit,
The idea that the CMLL audience would care about Mystico and fake Mystico and their WWE characters.
What was it was like when he was like the Black Sin Cara comes in as like Black Mystico. They do it beat for beat.
So yeah, he was meant to be one of the surprise opponents. So it was just reduced to a single surprise opponent, which was the return of Frankie Kazarian after he got fired from WWE for not cutting his hair and then cut his hair.
That is like the most based Frankie Kazarian has ever been. It's just to be like, fuck off. I'm not cutting my hair. I'm gonna leave. I'm cutting my hair.
So
like,
before
that's dope.
Yeah. So before the match, JB has Senshi. He came to TNA to become new X Division champion and achieved that, and he dares his mystery opponent to take his belt. And then him and Frankie have a perfectly fine match. Frankie gets a nice little reaction. It's the first time we've seen him since February 2005. People are like, Frankie! But the match isn't great.
It is nice to see him. It's some much needed, like, name value back in the X Division.
Yep.
The match wasn't, like, whatever. Like, not great. Like, clearly, needed incognito.
Frankie does a sling blade in this match, which is obviously not the first time it's happened in TNA because Hiroshi Tanahashi has done a sling blade in TNA. But I think Frankie is the first person to steal it.
As he should.
Because a lot of people stole this sling blade in like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, there's politics about it in 2024.
Senshi wins with the Warriors way. Neither Monty Brown nor Senshi have signed a new contract. In the case of Monty Brown, Dave doesn't know if it's considered a big issue. It is, he's gone. With Senshi, there was something in the deal he wouldn't agree with and was also unhappy with at TV. He was mad his pay-per-view match was never advertised and was telling people nobody from the company even called him to tell him about this match. He found out about it on the internet. He wasn't booked at TV and was only working an Explosion tag where Dutt pinned him, which he also wasn't happy about. This may be to set up the pay-per-view or maybe to give Dutt a big TV win in India, where he's the company's most popular wrestler. Also, it's fucking Explosion.
You know, the best part about this is that Dave writes Senshi with a space between Sen and Shi.
Yeah, his name is Sen space Shi.
Senshi.
Warrior.
I wonder if that means something different.
It might. Yeah, Dave might be like problematic.
Google Translate. Nope, doesn't mean shit.
Damn. I was hoping we could finally cancel Dave.
Yeah. Senshi could be written as combatant.
Oh, combatant.
Or soldier.
Soldier. All right, that takes us over to the other X Division thing. It's Kevin Nash time.
The other X Division thing.
Mm-hmm.
An appropriate name.
First Impact of the month. Remember, Sabin and Lethal were outside Jim Cornette's office. Eric Young, once again mad because they jumped in front of him in line. And it's like, they always save the worst news for last, and if I'm last, I'm going to get fired. EY begs JB. JB suggests EY tell the world.
Did EY ever get a meeting?
No.
Damn.
Sabin and Lethal come out saying they're very happy. Nash is going to love the decision that was made. It turns out that decision is a tag team match at the pay-per-view. Sabin and Lethal versus Kevin Nash and Alex Shelley. But EY asks JB, because JB's like, you should tell the world about what's going on here, and they should rally behind you. And EY's like, don't tell anybody about our secret plan.
Their secret plan that is being broadcasted to 1 million plus people.
Close to 2. June 29th Impact. Team Canada defeated Chris Sabin and Jay Lethal. Scott D'Amore is wearing a neck brace after his match against Rhino at Slammiversary.
You just gotta be sad about what's gonna end up happening.
A1 tries to interfere, but Eric Young stops him because he doesn't want to get fired. So that's the story of the month, where he also stops PD from doing his old Canada crotch stomp because he's like, stop it, stop cheating. We're gonna get fired.
It's a good story.
D'Amore tries to throw a punch at Sabin. Young stops him. PD puts his foot in the buckle and EY just tags it. He does the thing where, like, you put the foot in the buckle so that you can slam the head off the foot. He just tags the foot instead, which is very good.
This is Eric Young making like a TV tag match like bearable and fun.
Alex Shelley shows up with Johnny Devine as a cameraman. Devine already jumped the Team Canada ship.
Do they even acknowledge that?
They kind of don't. He's just no longer with Team Canada. I guess he was only like a periphery member of Team Canada for a lot of its run anyway. But yeah, he's just like, fuck that.
They should have put him in the angle. He should have been in the ring filming the goodbye.
Yeah, it's like, you're already out of here, so fine. D'Amore pushes Lethal off the ropes, allowing PD to hit the Destroyer for the win, for the final Team Canada win, for now, in TNA history. But we'll get to that in a moment.
No, not the other win. That's a few years down the track.
Yeah. Impact, August 6th. Kevin Nash has a plan. We go to...
He certainly does.
Paparazzi Productions presents It's in the Bag. Kevin Nash wants to use humiliation to control his opponents with the old body bag, the old trusty corpse in a bag of plastic on the canvas with a guy in it symbolizing the death of his career and humiliation that ensues upon it.
That's a classic.
And he's like, it's only been 2 weeks since we've done it.
Which is crazy because like the body bag isn't really a commonly used thing anymore. I say like weeks after Jack Perry and Darby, but like before that, not really a commonly used thing.
Yeah, they did it for mini Chris Sabin, and now they want to do it for regular Chris Sabin.
That old chestnut.
After he introduces it, Shelley and Devine slow clap this great strategy.
Johnny Devine immediately becoming like perfect for this crew.
He really fits in, doesn't he?
Goddamn fuck you, Austin Aries, you bitch.
You stay away from my Paparazzi Productions.
Stay away from Paparazzi Productions. We have the guy.
So Nash comes out immediately after the break with a man in a body bag in his shopping cart, like the minis from 2 weeks ago. So there's like, have they done it again? The bag is squirming. Nash claims to have caught Osama bin Laden and plans to split the award 3 ways. The 20 million award, 6 million for Devine, 6 million for Shelley, and Nash gets the rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have caught and compromised Osama bin Laden to a permanent end.
It turns out it's Chris Sabin, and Nash says, "That's Osama bin Sabin. I didn't even know he was Al Qaeda." Just such a good line.
Oh, Nash, just why can't you just transfer your charisma into anyone else?
Lethal makes the save. It'll be Sabin and Lethal versus Nash and Shelley at the pay-per-view. A very silly segment. Tremendous fun.
Perfect.
Takes us to the pay-per-view. Before the match, JB has Paparazzi Productions. Victory is very important tonight in a new era of the division, because even Nash is like, Joe, gone. Styles, gone. Daniels, gone. This is my moment. Nash is very high energy here. Like weirdly high energy. Some would say
very
twitchy high energy. Yeah. He's going to show them why they're the best there is.
Just remembered the next.
And then Nash shoves his breasts in JB's face and says, they're spectacular.
They're spectacular.
As Alex Shelley corpses.
Because, like, how can you blame him? like 2 hours before this, Kevin Nash is probably sitting him down like, alright, man, this is how you become a star. And then he gets on the fucking camera and he's just motorboating JB's face with his massive tits.
Then we have a match. It's Chris Sabin and Jay Lethal defeating Alex Shelley and Kevin Nash. Nash does an arm drag that draws a "This is awesome" chant.
smoky ass crowd.
Yeah, they're like super into it. They're having fun with it. Nash does the Nash knees and elbows, and then Shelley does the Nash knees and elbows.
It's like because if you have to watch along, we're like begging for it to happen, and then Shelley does it, and we pop huge.
Yes. Sabin grabs Shelley with a super leverage flash pin for the win. Paparazzi attack after the match, but Jerry Lynn makes the save, throwing down his staff badge, being like, I am back as a competitor.
So yeah, Sabin gets the comeuppance on Shelley here. He'll get that Nash victory any month now.
It's definitely coming. I have firm belief that Kevin Nash will do business the right way.
Much like a Scott Steiner, he's gonna do business the right way. I can only imagine.
All right, that takes us over to the tag team division, in which we have 5 things to talk about.
It's true. But they're all, like, not big things. Like,
yeah, it's like the biggest criticism of this pay-per-view month in particular, I think, is that it is so much a holdover from Slammiversary.
Yeah.
Like, same multi-man that you would have, like, it's a remix of King of the Mountain. You have another Styles and Daniels match. You have another James Gang Team 3D match. You have another Nash and X Division match. You know, it's very much just like the top 5 programs are just carryovers from Slammiversary. It's very much we're kind of punting this month. I actually didn't hate the pay-per-view, but...
Well, we are not notorious B pay-per-view defenders.
We are. There's very much a let's just do some stuff this month and get through it.
Because I think, like, I mean, not the case here so much, but, like, B pay-per-views, like, breed fun things that you wouldn't get elsewhere.
Because usually, like, they don't do a world title match this month. They actually do a fun one on TV, because they set it up. We'll talk about it when we get to Team Canada, but they set up Lethal doing a challenge. The next episode of Impact has Lethal versus Jarrett on it, which actually I kind of would have liked as a fun B pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
But I get why they felt Jay Lethal couldn't main event a pay-per-view in 2006. Not yet.
Well, he doesn't need to main event, you know. You could main event with the four-way still.
The X Division.
No.
But let's wrap up Styles and Daniels and AMW. We're finally ending this feud, you'll be pleased to know.
Fucking finally. Holy shit, goddamn.
June 22nd Impact. AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels defend the NWA World Tag Team titles against the Diamonds in the Rough. I do appreciate that they at least paid off the idea of why Diamonds in the Rough beat them by giving them a title match.
Yeah.
It wasn't just for nothing.
I mean, it was, but, like, then, like, someone realized, holy shit, what the fuck are we doing?
We should at least have them beat them. So, yeah, this is based off them beating Styles and Daniels on TV 3 weeks ago. Daniels counters the skipper rope walk Rana and hits an STO. Simon Diamond tries to interfere, but Serralda takes him out. BME frog splash on Young for the win. Gail Kim comes out to brawl with Serralda. Serralda turns it around, and then AMW bail with Gail.
I like that no one seems to give a fuck about Serralda. Like AJ and Daniels, like, barely acknowledge her existence, and it's really funny.
Every time she comes out, they, like, go to the nearest corner and just stand there, expressionless, while Serralda does her thing.
Like, they're not into her help at all.
They're not, like, high-fiving her. They're not like, hell yeah, you go, Serralda. They're just like, we're going to step back while Serralda does a thing, and then we will continue our match.
They truly don't even acknowledge her existence.
They're like, where do we get this woman
It feels so disconnected.
Jim Cornette's weird ass thing, that's what I call his town hall, his weird ass thing. There he booked AMW and Gale versus Serralda, Styles and Daniels in a 6-person tag team match, but with the titles on the line at Victory Road.
Normally I would hate this, but I don't care enough to hate it.
You were like, I am thoroughly indifferent, not because I have a strong stance, but because I have simply been beaten down.
Yeah, I would, hate the idea normally, but who could possibly give a shit?
Yeah, I'm not, like, staunchly against. I'm like, if you find the right circumstances, you can do it.
Well, then are you okay with, like, with a tag match deciding a singles title?
Again, I'm not, like, I don't take, like, hard stances against stuff like that, you know?
You're insane. You're an insane man.
I am a little bit, but I am like, I kind of like leaving yourself flexibility that if there is a circumstance in which you would like to do a particular thing for a particular reason and you can do it well, I'm not against you doing it, but I do agree that if you're doing it for no reason just to do it, you're dumb. July 13th Impact, we had a feature on Styles and Daniels recapping their issues with AMW. Styles and Daniels suggests that Serralda has some history with Gale. It's like, you want to know about Serralda? Ask Gale. But this will be AMW's last chance.
Serralda is is it a tag title match?
Yeah, she should win the tag titles.
Technically, she should be a tag champion.
She should get a 3rd belt just for that match.
I hope she, like, you know how, like, belts will get, like, wrestlers will get the mark versions of their belts for like their offices. I hope Serrata has an NWA tag team title in her office.
From the biggest match of her career.
And if not, we should go fund it.
We should send it to her.
Yeah.
Well, what would you think would be her reaction if, unprompted, without context even, she just got an NWA World Tag Team title belt in the mail?
I think she would be concerned that someone found her address, so we probably have to contact her first.
Yeah, that's a little unsettling to get mail from strangers. You're not wrong.
Would you like to know... Wow, she's had some names in her career.
Yeah.
First name, of course, being Butch. Not Pete.
Oh.
And Klondike. Would you like to guess how that's spelt?
I don't.
Crazy that, like, TNA didn't do the worst name.
But did you see the note at the end of this? I actually didn't put this together until Dave mentioned it, but...
Oh. Yeah, that's stupid, though.
Yeah, the inside, she's called Serelda because you would call her Sir for short.
That's stupid.
It's all stupid.
She was wrestling until 2017.
Good for her.
She feuded with Mercedes Martinez for the WXW Hardcore Champion.
Those matches are probably pretty good.
Yeah. She's been to Japan.
Because she's not, like, terrible here. She is clearly very, very green. Like, she is clearly very inexperienced, but she's not, like, irredeemably bad.
She has fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine.
Later on this show, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels face Paparazzi Productions. Before the match, Shelley is backstage. He's like, you may know me from the Sting videos, stalking Denise. But tonight, me and Johnny Devine will face Styles and Daniels, and they're going to make Kevin Nash proud.
Yeah, they will.
This is where Cornette booked Monty versus Rhino for the pay-per-view. They cut to the Spanish announcers and point out Homicide and Hernandez aren't there because of Jim Cornette, so they're like, oh, they're backstage again. They're not just out there protesting. Shelley grabs his tripod and struggles to get it in the ring because Sorella slightly missed her cue. She was a little late, so Shelley had to like stumble in the ropes trying to like hold the tripod. She stops Shelley. Styles and Daniels win with the Styles Clash on Divine. AMW and Gail attack after the match. Security separate the women, but they don't separate the men.
I don't appreciate that.
Sexism.
I don't allow
right
that. Not in my TNA. This is a Joshi show. goddammit.
Daniels gets handcuffed to the ropes and Styles gets dropped with a super kick. I don't know why they bothered the handcuff to the ropes bit, given they just super kicked AJ. It's not like usually when you do that, you're like, oh, you bloody him so that Daniels has to watch. It's like, no, they just kind of did a little attack.
They did it because that's their thing.
I guess. And that does bring us to the pay-per-view, in which AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and Sorelda defeat Gail Kim, AMW, to retain the NWA World Tag Team titles. Before the match, AMW is with JB. They're 6-time champions, and they're like, we only need one chance to win the titles because we proved we can lose them and win them back, which is fair. JB asks Gail about Sorelda, and James Storm is like, shut up, Gail, I have to talk. They're over their communication problems.
Fucked up.
Harris says, leave the bottle
And then
here.
he blames the other two for their communication issues. He's this Chris Harris, real son of a bitch.
Harris says, leave the bottle here because it gave him 16 stitches in his head. Storm then grabs the bottle from JB and he's like, he got those stitches out a week ago. He'll be fine.
James rules.
He's very good.
Harris rules. I'm gonna go on record as saying it.
You want a Braden Walker, am I right?
Yeah, knock knock. Who's there?
Gail Kim's there, making her in-ring debut.
That's a perfect.
Thank you. I'm a professional. Gail!
Yes?
It's really nice just to see Gail wrestle. There was like a moment where her and AJ were about to lock up.
It was so funny us watching it because we're like, holy shit, Gail's gonna wrestle. And she did like a little thing and we're like, wow. And it immediately went into the intergender sexualization spots. And we're like, no!
Especially because like she was facing off with AJ and you're like, fucking Gail Kim and AJ Styles. Two of the best to ever do it. And the very first thing they do is like a tilt-a-whirl into a spank and you're like, fuck off.
And like I don't know what the reverse of a pop is, but whatever noises we made in that moment was so funny because we both were like, ah.
Teenagechat.com, patreon.com/kiddingme. You can listen to our in-person watch-along together in a room.
Garrett's gonna fly back for every watch-along because it was better content.
It did work better in person. I can't lie. Gail does lock AJ in the octopus submission, which is nice. AMW go for a death sentence, but Styles cuts off Harris. But then Gail hits the leg drop part instead. It's fucking so awesome.
Yeah. Gail gets to actually do some real wrestling in here between all the bullshit.
Yeah. Sorelda chokeslams Gail, but then Sorelda eats a Storm super kick. Storm goes for a beer bottle shot, but Styles ducks and Storm nearly hits Harris. Harris accidentally hits Storm with a chair, allowing AJ to get a roll-up pinward. Storm's shoulder is very obviously up, but he does pin him.
Yeah.
This match is only novel for getting to see Gail Kim wrestle, and she does enough of it that I'm like, I am pleased.
I think it's worth watching just for that. The quicker we can get to a knockouts division, the better, though.
Hey, we got Gail and Sorrelda in a singles next month.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Well, like, Gail doing it is, like, gonna be cool at least.
The monster we all wanted for Gail Kim, not Awesome Kong. It's Sorrelda.
Yeah. Awesome Sorrelda. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Another continuation from Slammiversary, June 22nd Impact. The James Gang and Team 3D are backstage. Instead of fighting, they're doing your mama jokes.
But then it gets personal.
Yeah, most of the jokes surround moms being fat or poor. My favorite part is BG says a line, and then Chris Sabin in the background is just like, incineration! Incineration!
I like to think it's Sabin mocking it.
I think it is. It can't be anything else. Bully then pivots to mocking BG's daddy and then calls the Armstrongs a bunch of losers. That's what makes it personal. They brawl out into the building. Brother Run comes out and turns the tide in favor of 3D. Then Team 3D are like, we give you 7 days to find a partner. We'll do a 6-man tag at Victory Road. We got our 3. You have your dad, maybe? Your dad? You could pick your dad. And Tanae's like, oh, yeah, they could pick his dad. That should be the 6th man.
Yeah, I think they're going to pick their dad. Their dad. He's also Billy's dad.
Yeah, that's canon. June 29th Impact, Team 3D faced America's Most Wanted in a no disqualification match. AMW hid at the top of the ramp and covered their ears so they could not be deafened by the pyro, so they could ambush Team 3D. Bully waffles Harris with a keyboard, which Harris got color for on this TV match. Runt hits a golf club into a trash can on Gale. Harris and Storm argued over whether to use a trash can or a beer bottle, and I really think it should have been the handcuffs or the beer bottle. That would have made much more sense, but anyway. Opening the door for 3D to pin Harris with a 3D after Harris accidentally hits Storm with a can.
It would have made more sense too, because like those are two different strategies.
Yeah.
It's like, if we go for the handcuffs, we have one idea of how to beat them. If we go for the bottle, it's like another one. With the two weapons, it's just, which one are we going to hit them with?
Yeah, because the handcuffs, it's like, oh, we can take Bully out and isolate Devon, as opposed to just one shot with the bottle and hope we win.
It also goes better to their characters, because like James is a little dumber and goes for like the kill shot. Harris is like, oh, I have a strategy. Let's go for the strategy.
Yeah. The Harris was pinned after he accidentally hit Storm with the trash can and ate a 3D. James Gang came out. They have their better song now, by the way. The dun 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 dun. Actually, no, sorry, that's the VKM song. It's the Nobody Moves, Nobody Gets Hurt song.
Yeah, but it's not the Help Me, They're in My House.
Which is the better one again, but this one is much better than the older James Gang song. So we take steps there.
Yeah. We're gonna get there eventually.
Says, you have your family, I have mine. This is a family affair now. So our partner's Abyss.
Yeah, they're a family. Abyss James. James Mitchell. Oh my god.
It all adds up.
He is a member of the James Gang.
He threw Runt ass first. Storm should join too. Threw a table on the floor as BG does an obnoxious Jim Ross impression.
They should have done a segment where they went to all the Jameses.
In TNA history, Mickey shows up from the future. July 13th, Abyss faces Norman Smiley. Before the match, Mitchell explains that for the right price, he'd have Abyss split his grandmother's skull open with a steel pipe.
That's awesome.
And Abyss and James Gang will do way more than that at Victory Road. Black Hole Slam for the win. James Gang come out. BG asks if Mitchell promises that Abyss will fight by their side, which feels like a thing they should have confirmed before they picked him as their partner. But Mitchell shakes BG's hand and they've made a deal with the devil, and Abyss aggressively fist bumps BG.
And also, we gotta remember, James Mitchell never breaks a promise.
Yeah, you make a deal with the devil, it always goes well.
Yeah, but he said before, he never breaks a promise. That's his thing.
JB at Victory Road has Team 3D. They promise violence. They made a deal with the devil to get Abyss, but they'll fail tonight. They didn't, because the James Gang and Abyss won. So
yeah, exactly.
The highlight of all of this is the beginning of Abyss and Runt.
Yeah, this is what I want.
They're perfect. I don't remember them having like a great match, but they do a bunch of stupid shit. So
Abyss, that's his name.
The highlight of this being Abyss press slams Brother Runt into the crowd.
Yeah. Do the spot.
The famous crowd surfing spot, which is fine, except the crowd fucking dump Brother Runt out onto the top of his goddamn head.
They hit him with like straight up like Dr. Death Steve Williams in the middle of the World Tag League finals. Just fucking dumping him straight on his fucking head with like the press slam.
I really wonder what was going through that poor man's head the second that happened. Because it's just like, oh, guys, who are you, the fucking Miz?
Well, it's worse because they caught him. They chose to kill him.
Yeah, they caught him, they surfed him for a while, and then just dumped him. They just dumped him out. Oh,
It's so much worse than anything Abyss could have done to him in that moment.
it really is. The ass first through the table was much more pleasant than that. Bully, Staples, and ECW fears TNA signed to Abyss.
Twice. He gets them the second time.
Yeah, it didn't really work the first. Runt hits a double stomp off the ramp onto Abyss. They do some floor brawling before Abyss hits a black hole slam onto Runt onto a table that doesn't break, and Abyss just keeps like pushing downward until the table falls over.
It's like he had so much like time to like just lift him and put him through it again, but he just chose to muscle him into the ground.
Just keep pushing and that table will collapse. And it did. He was right. Abyss pins Runt. So that's our feud coming out of this. Regarding James Mitchell in WWE, he said he's under contract with TNA until May and is very happy with his position as manager of Abyss. He said he never contacted WWE management about coming in, nor did they contact him. There were WWE wrestlers talking about it regarding talks Mitchell had with some of the wrestlers. There were some wrestlers talking about it in WWE, including the idea of him managing Sabu, but it was more in the guise of people who wanted him in ECW more than him trying to pitch it himself. In the end, obviously, under contract till May, he's not going anywhere.
It's like crazy how perfect of like an ECW revival roster there was out at the time.
And all of them signed to TNA.
Yeah, or they like stayed in ROH.
Yeah.
It's like wild.
And then they were stuck with like Stevie Richards and Balls Mahoney, as you said.
Hey, don't talk shit about Dr. Stevie, okay?
I guess they got like Sandman back, and they got Sabu back. So it wasn't nothing.
They
but
they got Punk. So they got like a handful of like everyone cool that you'd want.
But yeah, and WWE weren't willing to sign the good wrestlers at that point either. Like Punk was even then an unusual signing for them.
Yeah, begrudgingly they decided to sign the guy who would be like the biggest star of the 2010s for 5 years.
That's always the way it is, isn't it? Everything good WWE does, they have to be dragged into kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
So next up, Team Canada.
Of course.
It's a rough month for Team Canada because it is the
cry.
last month.
Let's get ready to cry.
Yeah. So
tell me a lie that you won't go. No more yesterdays. No more yesterdays. Do you remember that song?
No, I don't even know what song that is.
It's the song that they played over Shawn Michaels' retirement video. Like the first time he retired.
Oh, in like the 90s?
Yeah. Let's sing it together, Garrett.
Well, you already sang it to me.
No, I need to hit it perfectly.
You always hit it perfectly.
But I need to find the lyric. Oh, it's such a banger. I used to listen to it all the time.
It's on one of their albums, I assume.
Revel in the fact that he was gone.
Celebrating?
Yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, Sean's gone. No, it was here's like one for the old heads. Sorry, I'm finding the lyrics. Colt Cabana on the Art of Wrestling used to have like wrestling related music open the show, and one of them was Tell Me a Lie.
Yeah.
I used to listen to it all the time because of that. Tell me a lie, say that you won't go. Wait, shit, I gotta get to the actual part of the song. Sorry, guys. Take two. You have to walk away. No more yesterday. Okay, now it's just a breakdown, to be honest. Can you just, like, put the song in?
No.
At this point?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I'll see can I Raintaker. I'll see can I find an instrumental and I'll try to put it together with Raintaker style.
Okay. Wait. Okay. After we're done, I'll give you my best rendition so you can put it, like, over, but then put it under this part of the talk of me singing the song.
So you'll have a version of you singing the song underneath this version of you singing the song?
Yeah. Perfect. I want you to put it like under this whole segment.
Okay.
Like I'll do the full 3 minutes.
Oh my god.
And then you can like put it slightly like quieter under the whole Team Canada section.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
It's so much work.
Okay. And now the funniest part of the bit will be I won't do that, and it will just be us talking about it.
Yeah, Liam's gonna get too self-conscious when it comes to singing the whole song.
I know, I need to do it in the moment. Otherwise it won't happen. But now it's even funnier when I do it, and it's currently playing.
We go back to the Jim Cornette company meeting. His big thing, he looked at the Team Canada contracts and realized those boys are under individual contracts with TNA Wrestling, not as a group. Therefore,
that's
just
such bullshit.
Spur of the moment, they're disbanded.
They don't even get to fight for their right.
It is quite rude to just be like, you're done.
Yeah.
So rude that the next week they recap the angle. They cut to Team Canada shouting at Cornette, and he promises to give them one more chance to stay together.
And now he gets to fight for the right.
EY is paranoid that this will be what gets him fired somehow.
Yeah.
So Tenay later informs us that there will be an all-or-nothing tag. It will be Team Canada versus Team 3D, Jay Lethal, and Rhino. If Team Canada loses, they disband. But also, to incentivize the other side, the winner gets a title shot of their choosing. Either side, if it's a member of Team Canada or a member of the other team, they get a title shot of their choosing. EY comes down to the desk and he's like, Mike, Don, help me. And Tenay is like, this could be a big win for you. You could get a title shot. And Eric Young is just like, I never win.
Yeah, we start watching Dragon Gate. It's crazy.
Like loser disbands title shot for stipulations. It's weird that this isn't a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, but it should be. But I guess like they wanted like some of the people that have feuded with Team Canada, and they're doing other stuff at the same time.
Yeah, but I still would have prioritized the team. Like this is one of the longest standing stables in the company on a B show where you don't got a lot else going on. I would have done the team disbands match on the pay-per-view.
Known you all my life. At least that's how it seems. Never knew another way, living out a dream. But now I know you're leaving me, and I'll never understand. Before I let you walk away, I have one last demand. Tell me a lie. Say that you won't go. Clap, Garrett. Look in my eyes and hold me even though I realize you have to walk away. No more yesterday. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
So now that's just gonna be there. You can't now put it in underneath you also singing it.
Yeah, you can. This is your journey, not mine.
God damn it. Yeah, Impact on July 13th. Main event, Rhino, Jay Lethal and Team 3D defeat Team Canada in a losing Team Disbands match, and Jay Lethal gets the pin, giving him a title shot. Before the match, JB has Team Canada. Great teams are made with defining moments. Lose and disband forever, win and they're right back in the thick of things. Everybody is a winner except Eric Young. They hate Eric.
That's bullshit.
3D reverse the Destroyer into the 3D. Everybody hits their move until Lethal gets a close near fall and a roll up on A1. D'Amore hits Lethal with the hockey stick. Brother Runt makes the save and wipes out Team Canada with a dive. Rhino gores A1. Lethal falls with the headbutt for the win, disbanding Team Canada and earning Lethal a title match next week. As in a Renaissance painting, Eric Young clings to the leg of Don West, screaming as Don West squirms as he was help me, as they go off the air. It's very funny.
It's actually sad to see them go.
Yeah, they've been such a backbone of the TV show in particular. The TV show era of Impact has really been not carried, because that's not really the right way, but the spine of that show has been Team Canada. TNA has been considering different ideas for each member of Team Canada once they are split apart. Eric Young has found his niche as the zany halfwit and will continue to play that role. The creative team is reportedly considering many new ideas for Bobby Roode. One of the more recent changes to Roode's character was adding a Rick Rude style sequin robe. You should say Terry Taylor style robe, because it is literally Terry Taylor's robe.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Roode came up with and the creative team thought was a good idea. Former Team Canada member Johnny Devine has already been paired with Kevin Nash and Alex Shelley, and Petey Williams will remain an integral part of the X Division and could feud with Senshi in the near future. I don't see a mention of A1.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. You were my angel, flying high above, always looking out for me, the angel that I loved. But now my dreams are fading like age-old photographs. It hurts so much to look at them, reminders of our past. Tell me a lie, say that you won't go. Look in my eyes, hold me even though I realize you have to walk away. No more yesterday.
Beautiful. Victory Road! Scott D'Amore comes out with Team Canada.
Together.
There is a Super Eric sign in the crowd. And I was like, I forgot that was a crowd thing before it was an actual TNA character thing.
Tell me a lie.
Scott starts going down the line. He's like, Bobby, you were selfless. You were the glue that held the group together. But now it's your turn. You're the hottest free agent in wrestling, and thousands of people are looking to get your to manage you. Rude hugs A1 and PD before giving Eric Young a non-committal high five, but an acknowledgement nonetheless.
It's really nice to be acknowledged because they were the actual tag team.
Yeah, because the whole thing is like PD ignores him, A1 ignores him, then we get to the Scott bit. But Bobby's the only one that like gives him something because they were a team together. He actually has fond memories of EY.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal.
The crowd chants for EY, which makes them more mad.
Recovery.
He's willing to call PD his son and couldn't be prouder, but now it's time for PD to show true dominance in the X division, and he loves him. The funny thing is, like, the crowd are actually kind of into this.
Yeah.
The crowd are like kind of into like they're actually like emotional about the idea of Team Canada ending, which makes it all the like stranger that Mike and Don are like, oh, this is stupid. How dare they?
Yeah, because like they've been here forever. They're a part of the fabric of this show. Like, it is genuinely upsetting to see them go.
Yeah. PD blanks EY. D'Amore reminisces about the time he found A1 in a strip club as the crowd chants, "You can't wrestle," which I think actually makes Scott mad. I think Scott is actually mad.
Well, because Scott's like, this is my actual moment to try and get these guys over before they leave.
Because Scott's off TV after this, yeah. So this is like Scott's last hurrah to kind of pitch these guys one last time.
Yeah.
A1 also blanks EY. That just leaves Eric. Scott chastises Eric and blames him for the demise of Team Canada, even though it was A1 who got pinned, not Eric. He literally dresses him down as he forces EY to return his Team Canada tracksuit. The crowd chants Super Eric. Scott says nobody can ever save EY from being fired now that Team Canada is over. The crowd chants, "We will save you" at him.
It's so sweet.
EY is dejected, but the crowd is behind him, so he forms a secret plan to work with the crowd to get not fired as they chant, "Don't fire Eric. Don't fire Eric. Don't fire Eric."
It's an amazing segment.
It's really good.
Tell me a lie.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with all that.
Well, I can't put you singing under you singing, even though that would be very funny.
Feel free to cut all the bits of me singing out and I can do it from the top, or you can keep it the way it is. It's up to you.
No, because I covered it over you, I'm going to leave it as it is. That's the way it is now.
Can you add the music below it at least?
I'll see if I can find an instrumental I can, but if I can't, it's just you, baby.
I think I kind of killed that shit.
I think you nailed it. Well done.
Like, unironically, I think I killed that shit. When I was like fading it out as you were going into it too with the last bits. Oh,
yeah.
That's cinema.
Art.
There is no podcast like this.
There isn't. I don't think that, like, I think that is the most true statement there has ever been. There is no podcast like this.
Is it good?
Yes.
Maybe not. Oh, okay. But like, it's definitely the most unique one going.
One of the last tag team things on this tag team month is the Naturals.
I actually cried.
About the Naturals?
Yes, having to see them again.
Franchise is training the Naturals very aggressively. They're being very aggressive with each other, being made to run up steps.
This would be a really good like vignette series for like people that were worth a damn.
For literally any other tag team.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, it would be one thing if you're like, we have not had definitive proof that the Naturals are not the guys. It's like, oh, you know, this is a reboot so that they can find themselves. It's like, no, we've had definitive proof. Like, they've been given a fair chance, and they're just too boring. They're just too boring. They're not bad. They're functional. Chase Stevens will occasionally throw himself off things, but they're just too bland. They cannot overcome their blandness, no matter what. Yeah, he's shouting at them. He's mad at them. There's one the next week. He continues to shout as they train. He calls them useless failures who squandered every bit of talent they had. I would argue they actually probably overachieved relative to the talent they have.
Yeah, they've definitely, like, they've succeeded.
Another incident backstage involved Andy Douglas of the Naturals.
Oh, great. How does he keep getting involved in, like, issues? Like, brother, just take a step back.
The Naturals were going to be repackaged with Shane Douglas as their manager, and one of the changes was to be short hair. Andy Douglas put up a fuss about it, and at least as of the day of the taping, was refusing to let them cut his hair. There was talk before the show of abandoning the entire Naturals push, which was supposed to go all the way. To the live crowd, there was no evidence of them on either show, because they were just doing vignettes, so I think they were probably always going to just do vignettes anyway. I do know at least one, if not more, vignettes of Shane Douglas training was supposed to air. It's possible they simply didn't air, but they weren't showing it for the live fans, like the taped Jim Cornette segment that took place on hour 1. If no vignettes air the next 2 weeks, then it's safe to say the plan for the big push is out the window. So they do stick to the push, and they do, like, trim the hair.
It's very like Young Bucks when they become Gen Me.
It actually is, and then, like, because it's the blonde one and the black-haired one as well. It's so Young Bucks.
But like, I don't know, man. Just cut your hair. Give it a shot. I mean, maybe he knows that's gonna mean nothing, and he's like, "Fucking, just let me have my hair."
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna drop this. I know you're going to drop this, so fuck off getting me to cut my hair for it.
Yeah.
Next week, another feature. He had no idea how hard it would be to make them good. Talks about how he stroked their chest, reached and pulled out their heart or something. The newly franchised Naturals faced Diamonds in the Rough at the pay-per-view. Shane Douglas comes out and does a promo. He lost the franchise and gained a Dick Flair. He's I don't know what he's doing.
I gained my dick.
Flair.
Still
mad about that. Promised to his dad and Chris Candido that he'd take the Naturals back to the top, and that starts tonight. He doesn't stay at ringside for their match. He leaves. They trim their hair. David Young hits a big springboard moonsault to the floor, which is the best part of the match, which isn't ideal.
The best part is that, like, the Diamonds in the Rough eat them up.
Yeah, when the Diamonds in the fucking Rough are overshadowing you on your big, like, reboot match, you know it's over.
Yeah.
You know what the bigger problem was? Maybe not the bigger problem, but another problem I had. So, the thing I will always give the Naturals, the thing you can't take away from them, they have a cool finisher.
Yeah, and they dropped the fucking Natural Disaster.
Yeah, the Natural Disaster is a cool finish. And now they're just doing like a missile dropkick powerbomb. It's like the one thing they actually had, you took away from them. What are you doing? Franchise comes back out and berates them after the match, even though they won. Probably because they got eaten up by the Diamonds in the Rough.
He's just shoot pissed.
There is a lot of heat among wrestlers when Andy Douglas got away with not cutting his hair.
Okay, first of all, like, Andy's a big dumb idiot bitch, right? Like, for not doing it, but everyone else is a big dumb idiot bitch for caring.
The story was that Bob Ryder, who Dave says doesn't have much respect these days, stepped in and convinced Jeff Jarrett they didn't need to cut their hair. The booking committee wanted to give them a new push with a complete new look. Chase Stevens has a little shorter hair that looks the same. They cut a very little bit of Andy Douglas's hair as a concession, but it's still long, but now styled slightly differently.
It feels like this is like the same time that like WWE were doing Eminem.
Yeah.
Feels like they're going for a similar thing, like a serious like pretty boy team to be like against like the just absurd pretty boy team that was Eminem.
They should do Shane Douglas doing the splits on the apron.
that would get over.
That would get over. That would change the tide. And we end the show, Liam, as we always do, for the last time, with 3 Live Crew family drama.
This mother is a bad girl!
Beware!
Well, we say that, but then they always end up popping the fuck back up, don't they?
I do believe this actually there's James Gang LAX stuff in like 2007, isn't there? No, does that count? Does that count? I think that counts.
Of course that counts.
I don't think this is technically the last 3LK family drama.
I don't have to sing the song again?
This Mother is a bad jam. It'll be added in post.
Not that one.
On the first episode of the month, we talked about that Monty Brown Chase and Rance match, after which Conan invited Monty into LAX. Monty declined, maybe because he's not Latin, but afterwards, because he took a shot at Ron, and he's like, you can stand alone like Ron Killings and Sanjay, because Ron comes back out, and Ron's like, what the hell, man? Why are you throwing shade at me?
Keep your name out my mouth. Your mouth, rather.
So Homicide and Hernandez are like, should we jump him? And Conan is like, nope, he's family. And Conan gives Ron the same pitch that he just gave to Monty. He's like, you've been held back. They don't look at talent. They look at race. He offers Ron a spot in LAX. Ron hugs Conan.
It looks like Ron's going to say yes.
Yeah, what I will say, like, Ron looks skeptical, but not, like, angry.
And not like he was like an immediate no. Like, it looked like he was considering the offer.
So yeah, as they hugged, as they embraced, LAX pounced and beat the shit out of him, and Hernandez dumped Ron over the rail.
It was crazy. It kind of broke my heart a little bit, because Conan and Ron, they were always cool.
Yeah, they were the boys. It was always BG causing all the problems with Kip.
Yeah, so I'm sad now.
Like, Conan always hated Kip, and Ron was just like, I want nothing to do with this. Leave me alone.
Like, sort your shit out.
Company meeting, Jim Cornette addresses LAX, and he's like, enemy of the worker, hater of the worker. He ends their work stoppage, and it's like, if you don't go to work, you'll get fired.
It's crazy.
They're protesting discrimination, and he's like, get back to the work, or I will fire you.
This is Joe Biden's America.
They do get this as George Bush's America, so it does make a lot of sense. The August 6th Impact, Homicide, in his first singles match on Impact, faces Sanjay Dutt. It's nice to have Homicide wrestle on television.
It is. It is nice to have Homicide wrestle on television, even if it's like just some weird shit. Like, it's just DQ. I guess the DQ like ending is like putting over the whole angle more than anything.
Yeah, it's to set them up as violent, I think, rather than like to protect Sanjay.
We're talking about how like Homicide's like a top ROH guy, and like all the top ROH guys come in with like a certain level of respect, and it's like Homicide isn't quite treated to that level, but is still kind of treated well. It's like a weird little hybrid.
Yeah, because like as you said, Joe came in main eventer. I guess like Aries didn't, and Lethal is kind of getting more as the year goes on. But yeah, Homicide kind of sits in the middle between like a Joe and a Lethal.
Yeah, it's weird, but like I don't know, it's just nice to see him.
They have the full LAX intro with Moody Jack introing them coming from like the side of the arena through their like border wall.
It's so cool, and like it does feel very like WWE ECW.
They're actually, yeah, that entranceway is like the exact same as the ECW one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like they're instantly like the coolest act on the show. Conan is like back to being like the best promo on the show because he's cutting actual promos and not just being like, I hate you, Kip James.
Yeah.
He's just calling everybody racist, which I think is ideal.
Which is Conan's like best shit.
Homicide goes for a topic on Hilo, but Sanjay moves and Homicide connects with Hernandez. Sanjay wipes them both out with a dive, hits a standing slice spread, and Hernandez interferes and hits the Cracker Jack on Dot, which is the best move. I love the Cracker Jack so much.
Yeah.
Especially when he's doing it on like small X Division dudes and he just fucking yeets them across the ring. Homicide pins them. Slick Johnson comes out and tells Andrew Thomas what happened and they restart the match. Alex just jumped Dot for the DQ then before Truth makes the save.
I like that they said, fuck this.
We don't respect your
They're
authority.
just like, no, we're just going to beat the shit. Like, you want us to wrestle, you don't have to tell us how to wrestle it.
It was the first chance for Homicide to really show us stuff, and he looked really good, although Dave would have to temper that. It looked good on television, but apparently it was a bad match live. And the version that made TV was the ECW editing job, in reference to how Paul Heyman would edit matches on television to make them look great when they weren't so great live, which is how it should always work, by the way. The idea that that is like a novel idea is so stupid. It's like, if you were doing a taped show, you should always edit your matches to make them look as good as possible.
Yeah.
For the people who saw it live, it was not a feather in Homicide's cap. Dutt was still working on a bad shoulder, even if he did do a topic on Hilo. So, Homicide's first singles match, and people are like, he kind of shit the bed, and we had to edit the shit out of it.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, you're right. Like, always edit that shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like, you're taping this stuff. You can make it look any way you want.
This is the reason you have it.
Yeah. This should be how it always works with every match forever. So all of this is to set up a tag match on the pay-per-view. It is LAX versus Ron Killings and Sanjay Dutt, or I have coined them Ron J. Dutt.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something better. There isn't.
That's good. Ron J. Dutt is good.
Yeah, it is.
Before the match, JV has LAX. Cornette says soon they'll be working a Jiffy Lube, but he's got something he can lube in a jiffy. That's good about Cornette, by the way. LAX are taking over just like all the immigrants, and soon everyone's going to be speaking Spanish as the main language.
For the record, Cornette doesn't say that.
What?
Like, that's an LAX line, isn't it?
Which?
The all the immigrants are going to take over and Spanish will be the main language.
Oh, did I say Cornette?
Yeah. I think you didn't say either, and it just because of the way it ran off with the Cornette sentence.
No, I daved it.
Yeah, but yeah, they say it, and it's an awesome line. And I think it gets like a little like positive reaction too, which is like very funny.
Because like it is George Bush's America, as we mentioned. It is really interesting to do this and like we have not evolved whatsoever in 18 years. Like you could do this exact gimmick, and you could do. Sadly, it would still be a heel gimmick. It would still be like, oh, the immigrants are coming for you to scare the white Americans. That's what the point of the gimmick is.
Well, yeah, because like it's arguably even like crazy now because it's the one thing Trump has that he always says. And
like it's I always think a lot about like wrestling's capacity to tell broader stories, and usually I'm on the side of they can't. They're really bad at it.
Well, I think we've had the things like wrestling can tell controversial things as long as the good guy wins.
Yeah.
But the problem is, in a case like this, it's like, I mean, you're saying they're the bad guy.
Like, the character here is that Conan is so fed up of racism that he's like, fuck it, we are gonna take over, fuck you. Like, that's what the character is.
And he's the bad guy.
He is the bad guy.
Yeah.
We had a cool feature as well before the match.
We did. I mean, like, just everything about LAX's presentation, they do kind of kill.
Yeah, like, this is the month where LAX, like, actually arrive. You know, we've had a couple of soft launches, a couple of, like, weird James Gang feuds, the thing where they're just standing in the crowd for the month. But, like, everything they did with LAX this month, all of Conan's promos, all of, like, the entrances, even the match against Sanjay and Killings is really good. It's like, this is LAX. LAX is here in the month of July 2006.
Yeah. And it's thank God, because we're about to lose fucking AMW. And we just lost Team Canada. Tell me a lie that you won't stop.
The tag division has like 5 stories at the same time it's falling apart. It's kind of funny.
It is weird. I guess like it's going to feel fresher at least.
Yeah, so LAX are giving their full intro again, introing them in Spanish with Moody Jack coming through the side entrance. They start with a big dive
sequence.
sequence.
TNA theme ever, by the way.
It's really up there. It might not be my favorite, but it's definitely top 5. Hernandez kills Dutt with a shoulder breaker, and they get the heat. Tag to Ron. Ron hits a big rolling thunder clothesline on Hernandez as a shout out to Conan. And my favorite part is he leaves like a brief pause, like he does the rolling thunder roll and then stops and hits a fucking sick ass lariat. It's almost better than Conan's, which is no surprise really, I guess. But Ron stops Homicide from using a chair with a corkscrew plancha, but then Conan hits Dutt with the slapjack and border toss. Again, all-timer move, especially doing it on someone like Sanjay, where he, again, just fucking yeets him, just throws him all the way across the ring.
The border toss is so good. It's like the most like video game move ever.
Because like you had the Razor's Edge where Scott Hall tried to be as safe as you could to do that move.
Yeah.
And then Hernandez is like, what if I just threw him? Never mind you're holding the dude all the way down so that you don't hurt him too bad. Hernandez is just like...
No, just gonna fucking yeet him.
Yeah, I just want to throw him. I just want to throw people and they die. It's so good. So LAX win. They beat Sanjay and Dutt. Probably the best match on the pay-per-view, honestly. Really good match.
God, the LAX like aesthetic is so good too. Everything from like the way they come out to the ring, like just the music, the production, the like special entrance. It's just like... It doesn't get much better as like a way, like a presentation of a new character or gimmick.
Yeah, they nailed it. Especially, as I said, because like they've been dicking about with this act since the start of the year, since they had Machete in it. Never mind when they had Apollo in it, and like they've been kind of like fumbling around, and now like they've got it. They've just got it, you know. And it is like a testament to like a lesser company might have given up on this earlier, because like after the James Gang feud, you might have been like, this isn't working. This is kind of dead. Whereas like they left it a few months and they found it. Like they truly found it. It wasn't like on arrival. They had to take some time.
Yeah, but they got there. And the crazy thing is like they will be trying with Hernandez for the next decade.
Yep. Not just them. We're watching Lucha Underground where he just arrived. A lot of people are trying with Hernandez for a very long time.
But Homicide, like, yeah, you get the one shot and then World Elite.
It's a shame. Should put Homicide in Hernandez's body. Then perfect wrestler.
Yeah. you give Hernandez like the charisma of Homicide. Yeah.
Shout out to Dutt and Killings as well. They don't team after this, and I was thinking, it's like, actually, they were like a really fun tag team. I kind of wish they stuck around as a team.
They're just like super babyface.
And do flips and dives and cool shit.
Yeah.
So that is the month. That is July 2006. If you would like to listen to our in-person watch-along, you can go to patreon.com/kiddingme, and you can listen to us talk about this show in person, in a room, together.
It'll be like you're there, in my house.
Yeah, I was there in his house. You can get show notes, you can get the ad-free episode. Again, photo of us in Australia, pay us.
Wow, that's the big bucks.
It only costs you one buck, a whole buck, to see our faces.
Buck.
And people were like, I like the comment that like we both simultaneously looked exactly like they expected and nothing like they expected.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Tell us what that
offended?
means. I think I should. But yeah, all that's there, as well as the Raintakers, Lucha Underground, PWG, Wrestling Society X, Ringka King. I should write these down.
Ghost Ship.
Ghost Ship is there. We should do another movie. We decided on the movie you were doing. It was that Spy Kid one. That's not Spy Kids.
What the fuck was it?
I have the name in my phone. Let me get it.
No, let me... it was the go-kart racing.
Yeah. Catch That Kid.
Catch That Kid. Motherfucker.
That's our next Patreon movie. If I can find it. I actually haven't looked for it, but I assume you can find it somewhere. You can find most movies somewhere.
Yeah.
That's our next Patreon movie watch-along whenever we do it.
When we buy the DVD.
Yeah, when me and Ken were doing Magic by Design, or Disney show, you couldn't get one of the Hercules straight-to-video movies online. So I bought the VHS, and then we ended the podcast before we watched it. So for no reason, I bought a VHS of a Hercules straight-to-video movie.
But you know what? You have that piece of history now.
I do. I'll sell it for $1 million in like 10 years. I'm sure that'll be in thorough
when the
demand.
market comes around.
Yeah. So patreon.com/kiddingme. We'll be back with probably an episode of Raintakers next, which will be the Wrestling's on Taku one, the AJ Okada match. So that should be our next episode of Raintakers, hitting Patreon after that, and the next episode of Gift of the Pods before we hit the August 2006 episode of You Got to Be Kidding Me. You can follow us on Twitter at Garrett and Liam at The Delete Muta, the podcast at TNA History Pod. Subscribe us on YouTube at You Got to Be Kidding Me, or follow us on TikTok at TNA History. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Do damn thing.
Hello there, everybody. It's me, Garrett Kidney, the co-host of You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
And I am Liam Jones, my full name, and I'm also a part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network as a co-host for You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We cover all the drama, all the matches, all the Vince Russo nonsense you could ever want in your life.
Have you heard of TNA? I bet you have, but would it be funnier if two people made jokes over it the whole time? Probably.
So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out on this very Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network, and Liam will do bits and whatnot.
Despite the unshakable Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivalry, there is one thing Iowa State and University of Iowa fans can both agree on. Getting hyped for Unleaded 88. It's cleaner burning and better for your engine, and it's cheaper than other fuel options, making Unleaded 88 the clear fuel choice. If Iowa Corn-Cyhawk rivals can agree on it, you know it's worth the hype. So pump it up with Unleaded 88, grown by Iowa corn farmers.
Save big money at Menards. Never get locked out from lost keys again. Menards carries a huge selection of electronic lock sets. Get a TrueBolt touchscreen deadbolt that features one-touch locking and 50 programmable user codes. Available in matte black or satin nickel finishes, on sale now through September 8th at Menards. America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction, according to J.D. Power. Visit jdpower.com for details and menards.com for deals.
Save big money at Menards.
Save big on your Labor Day barbecue, all in the Baker's app.
Get tender USDA choice bone-in Kansas City strip steaks for $7.99 a pound with your card and a digital coupon. Then buy 2, get 3 free on 12 packs of delicious Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or 7-Up with your card.
Shop these deals at your local Baker's, less than 10 miles away, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.